Yo, welcome to Crate 808, and it's a biggie, the one that everyone looks forward to. It's one of our hip-hop summaries. Yo. Ray's going to just talk over me on the intro there. Why not? Just go in there with your size 12s, just stomp all over my shit. That's fine.
No one's logged in on the live chat yet anyway, don't worry about it. You'll start again when they log in. Just pretend like you just started. Oh, someone's here. Yo, welcome.
Well, there's a few people out there who listen to it not live. So for all you guys, this is really entertaining, great value. But no, let's go into actually what we're doing today. We are summarising 2019. Oh my God, this is how much of a 90s pod we are. I was about to say the 1990s again. Get out of the 90s, Cam, because we are in 2023 and we are talking about another pretty stacked, surprisingly stacked, I thought for myself, hip-hop year. And to do it, we have got some rap aficionados. Raymond Ridge, the Boom Bap Crusader, has interrupted me over there in Perth. How you doing, Ray?
It's what I do.
It's
3 a.m. I think I'm awake. We'll see. We will see. We will test that. We have got beatmaker and writer over there in the other corner, SonRaw. How are you doing? Jumping on again in the hot seat.
Yeah, man, I'm heading towards permanent guest status here. I got the feeling. No, I'm good, man. Like it's it's a beautiful day out here. Just let me know if the ambient noise on my end gets a little loud. I can always take it inside.
Oh, no worries. No, I'm enjoying the outside. Being outside, I'm enjoying that. And we're a bit like the Woo. Like we, used to have aficionados. That Kappa would just turn up, and I hope another person we can make our next Kappadonna is Rohan over there from the Rap Music Plug podcast. How are you doing, my man?
I'm doing fantastic. Really happy to be here. This is a great invitation I was happy to accept. Love what you guys do. Excited to get into this.
Thank you, man. And you have been having a year yourself. People go out there, do check out that podcast because there's been some names on there. Just regularly anyway. But this year it seems like, wow, you are on the beat, my man. Now I'm enjoying it. Raymond, I think it's only time that we have to, before we get into any top fives, least hip hop things in the last 24 hours. If anybody has any, Ray, what is your least hip hop thing you've done in the last 24 hours? And make it succinct, mate. We've got 3 hours.
Succinct, okay. No, it's just waking up at 3 a.m. I think I've said that one before.
You can't use that one every month. That's the thing. You can't use that one every month.
Yeah, and it's not every month, but it's just usually like, I think it's probably most hip hop things staying up till 3 a.m. But to go to bed early with like a couple of alarms around so I think I might sleep through, so let me put that alarm over there out of reach, put that alarm over there, hopefully, and then obviously you wake up before as well, because you don't really sleep, because you're laying there going like, if I get to sleep now I'll get 4 hours sleep, if I get to sleep now 3.5 hours sleep, and then you just count it down, and then you suddenly wake up and think, have I slept? I don't know, so I might just doze off during this, but
least
I think so. Some of your album choices are probably all those off anyway.
There we go. There's the first stab. Ray's going to love talking about Billy Woods for 2 hours. Let's do this. There's no car this time for you, Ray. Usually car's the one that really triggers Ray. There isn't any this year, unfortunately, because I love doing
Lucky
a marathon car. But here's one. I'm going to change it out to there for the people in the live show. There are a few people here, and for other guests on here, and just for people out there who are listening, let us know if you need to get up at 3 or 4 a.m. to do something. What is the hip hop song you're setting as an alarm? Mine one is Steve Biko by Tribe Called Quest. If that's waking me up at that would get me going, I think. Even at 3, if I heard the horns, I think I'm getting up. So anyone out there who's got theirs, then
it's Simon Says, isn't it? But
is that a bit too rough?
That's a great choice.
I don't know if that's a bit too rough. I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of like an aggressive, like it's a little abrasive way. Like I'm really needing to do something aggressive in the morning. I can't just go slither off to work.
I'm not even a big Aesop Rock guy, but I'd probably do Labor, which sounds like a song like you don't want to get up, because there's no music in the world that's going to convince me that getting up at 3 a.m. is. I admire that, Ray, because I can't believe it. I'm like the worst morning person in the history of humanity.
I think that's why on the podcast I'm always the grumpy guy. That's why.
Yeah.
That's purely it. I'm lovely otherwise. I love all this music otherwise.
He loves this music otherwise. I have just noticed the live show's ended It's just ended on YouTube for me. I don't know, is that the same for everyone else? Or
yeah, same. Yeah, it just cut out.
let me just put that back on because people were in there and I don't know what's happened. But it says it's live on Zoom. Welcome to live streaming, Rohan. This is exactly what I mean about just right. Let's try this again. Boom.
To be fair, that's never happened.
That has never happened. No, but it's odd that it did say unlisted. Let's have a look.
I can't tell on my end if it. Okay, now I see it's ended. Yeah.
Oh, there's a bit of a delay, right? Yeah. So let's try this again. And I shall send it over again to you guys. It says it's
this is streaming now live on YouTube.
Did it say on the because on Zoom it said it was still going. But I noticed people, I didn't even get to see what's in the chat, so I don't even know what people were saying in that chat now, annoyingly.
I saw the chat.
Anything good?
Oh, it was Dan saying just like I was the youngest person in this group by far.
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, that's absolutely true. Ray, I've sent it to you again. I'm going to put it back up on Patreon.
Okay, it's a different link.
Yeah, it's a different link. Unfortunately, it's a different link now. So
yeah, you didn't miss anything in the chat. Don't worry.
Okay, cool. I'm just going to update that same page. I put that same post. Sorry about this hiccup, guys. I will sort this. Live. Here we go. Right, edit that. And let's do this again. Bed the URL. Bang, bang. Patreons. Notify Patreons about this change. Let's try that. Let's see if that goes out there. If it doesn't, I might have to post it on Twitter really quick in case people don't get that, because I'm not sure how many people are on our Patreon and getting notifications. Yeah, what a great way to start. Right, so you've got there, Ray. Yeah, okay, you're in. We've got one in. I'm going to tweet it.
I got it.
Let me just quickly tweet. Oh, no, I can't tweet it because only patrons are allowed it, aren't they? Oh, well. Okay, hopefully they see that. Right, let's try this again. Where are we? Right, here we go. Least hip hop things then. That's where we were, wasn't it? Yeah, least hip hop things. Bang. Right. Seamless transition into Rohan's least hip hop thing in the last 24 hours. Rohan, what have you got from us, my man?
I am bad at these. I feel like last time I had no good answer. I mean, I can say 48 hours. I just stayed up really late with my girlfriend.
That's fine.
That's I don't even know if that's not hip hop, but I mean that's just it. She just stayed over. It was fun. That's it.
I don't think people use the word girlfriend enough in hip hop. It's always something else. There's always another word for it.
I like saying girl, to be honest. Like I like saying I find that's more hip hop, and then actually that's like something I like about that. I don't say anything else. I don't say shorty or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I have no against it. That just doesn't come naturally to me.
Right.
I like girl though.
I like. Yeah, I'm absolutely here for that. I think I can give you that for least hip hop thing. Actually, I think.
I wish I could pull off shorty.
Yeah.
I can't. This in an English accent doesn't work. Shorty.
Shorty does not work, does it? Shorty doesn't. No. Love is just something we say up north, but apparently some people take offense from that. But we say, "Hi, love," like that. No, she can't say it nowadays. Apparently, but apparently that's just one thing that we do say up north in England. SonRaw, least hip hop thing in the last 24 hours. What have you got, my man?
Definitely the day job, just answering work emails and that grind. It's not very hip hop related in any measurable way. Everything I was thinking about it because I had like a pretty hip hop 24 hours. Like I went to buy weed, I read some comics, like
that's quite hip hop.
None of that was particularly not hip hop. And then I'm like, oh yeah, this morning I just did a bunch of stuff that's like people rap to get away from, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Rap to get away from. Yeah, fair enough. I've enjoyed that day. That sounds quite a nice day. Just weed and comics. Sounds lovely. I wish I had time for that. Just don't have a kid, essentially. I think that's my own life choices. My own life choices get in the way of me having fun. But less of that. Least of a thing for me. I watched 4 hours of the new series of The Bear. I don't know if everyone's watching The Bear. But
wait, did that? But the new season just dropped today, or is that what?
I know.
Was that the new series?
Yeah, and that's what I think is least hip hop, because there literally was in the morning. I'd prepped for this episode. I'd kind of done my editing, and I was like, I could just sit and watch like 2 hours of The Bear, and I did. And then I thought, that's not very hip hop, is it? No one's doing that.
Serengeti has like a lot. At least in season 1, Serengeti the rapper, he had a lot of placements on that series. Yeah,
did he?
He did. He had like a few times, at least 3 times, a song of his was playing in the background, and it even showed it in my subtitles because I watched it like on the illegal stream.
Yeah.
Even there, it still had Serengeti's whatever song it was. Yeah, interesting.
Sick.
He got those placements. Yeah, he has a video TV background, so it's not surprising. I think he has some good relationships.
I see. See, the guys on there, whoever make the music works really well for that show.
Fantastic.
Loves REM, and I love REM. So I'm like, REM getting some play in 2023. I'm here for it. Absolutely. You don't see.
I'm here for it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, all good.
People.
That the people need to know, don't they, Rohan? That's what it is. So let's get into this live chat.
Didn't you literally just say, I don't have time to read comics, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
and the very next sentence was, I watched 2 hours of television or whatever it was.
Yeah, shit, yeah. That must mean I equate watching TV to a chore, which most people would enjoy. And I'm just sitting there going, I've got to get through this. I've got just got to watch. I need content.
Punish yourself.
If you read enough superhero comics, it becomes a chore just keeping up with the continuity. It's the same exact feeling. I'm like, why am I reading this? This is mediocre. And I'm like, but I got to read it to understand the next one.
Yeah. Link. They know how to get you. They know how to get you. It's at least it's better than the 90s hip hop trope and just general music video trope of to be continued and never being continued. Like I think there was some great 90s videos. I can't think of any on the top of my head. Please, in the live show, if there are any to be continued that you want to know. But I'm sure that's Puffy and Mace. They've been all around the world. They're in a desert somewhere, and then to be continued. Never again.
That and your volume 1 album, there's not going to be a volume 2.
Yeah. Fair play to Rough Riders for bringing out a volume 2. And Jay-Z.
Yeah.
You know,
and Jay-Z,
and Jigga. Jigga delivered 3 times. Like he kept going. Fair play. But yeah,
whether he delivered or not is a whole different podcast.
Oh, that's
bro. I'll back every one of them volumes. I will. I will.
They're all written off.
No, I'm not going into this. We've got 3 hours of new hip hop talk to talk, and everyone's dragging me back to the 90s as always. So let's see what's happening in the chat. Free Music Empire. I am here. You're always here, Dan. Free Music Empire. If anyone listens to the Patreon, he is always here. Jack P, I lost you there for a bit. Oh no, the stream went down. I'm really sorry. Rose should transition to Lady Love, says Dano there. So there you go. Transition to Lady Love. Lady Love does sound like a nice way to talk to someone. And A Up Me Duck says Oz, which is the most British thing we're going to say on this podcast, think probably ever, is A Up Me Duck. And that's exactly what they say up north. Well done, Oz. And yeah, there we go. The bear is very hip hop. They keep invoking the chef. Ray Kwan says Oz, fair play. And Lisa got thing yesterday was eating falafel and hummus in the Science Museum. Yeah, I think a 50-year-old Jizza would be doing that.
Mm-hmm. Playing chess or something, yeah.
Yeah, he's in the Science Museum. What are you doing here? It's the Science Museum. I'm Jizza. What wouldn't I be doing here? And I can see the falafel and hummus. So although I know what you're saying, old rappers, I feel it. So let's get into this then today. We are going to go into all different variety of categories, but I think the only place to really start, and there are 4 of us today, so this will take I'm going to zip through mine, Ray. There's not going to be half-hour monologues on Billy Woods. We've had enough of those. This is going to be our top 5 records. As usual, I have listed 40. So I've done my top 40, but I'm just going to do my top 5 and we can do honorable mentions later. But let's start with number 5 then. I will jump to SonRaw. SonRaw, your 5th, if you have ranked them. Your 5th favourite album of 2023 so far, and why, my friend?
So I got a couple of caveats first that I just want to get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, I do have an album coming out, Redefined, July 11th. I'm not listing it in my favorites because I know I'm here as a pundit and not a producer, and I respect the show, and I'm not going to be that dick. But everyone has to go buy it because it's my favorite record for sure.
Yes.
Number 2, all this is for visionary on either Mach-Hommy or West Side Gun dropping before the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's going to happen. But with that out of the way, my number 5 is Larry June and the Alchemist, Great Escape.
Mm-hmm.
This has been I think a trend in my records is gonna be like a little bit of variety, because like the past couple of years there was a lot of very, very East Coast centric records and my favorite stuff. This was really good. It dropped at a point when I was in tropical climate, so the LA vibe really hit quite well. I love how original Larry June is. It's the only record that's ever told me to do my taxes on time. And that really stands out for a play, like that West Coast play vibe, but he's also dropping knowledge. And I think it came together really, really well. Like, Alex, obviously a genius. I don't have to repeat too much about that, but I feel that it really did work with Larry June's style, his ad libs, his vocal. Like they found a really good pocket, and it's long and the short of it.
Love it. Okay. Just for the regular listeners, I have got Ray. Oz just said Ray's going to be so annoyed on this show. I can tell already. Yeah, Ray, the Alchemist and Ray don't get on. But
oh wow,
I have this just thing of, it's funny. I looked at my 5 this year and I was like, no Al. That's weird. There's no Al on this list, and he usually pretty much gets in there. And because he hasn't been in for this year, I was like, well, why is that? And the only reason I absolutely love that, I love the album artwork, I love the vibe of it. I'm just wondering why it's not been on my rotation as much as the others. Maybe because I've just been in a different kind of mental space for it, maybe. But it's a beautiful. I don't know how he does what he does, to be fair. I haven't heard much of Larry June, so I wasn't like massively up on him, but off the first few listens, it wasn't that was grabbing me, it was the Sonics, and now it's kind of seeped into me, and some of them later album tracks that I kind of maybe skipped the first few times have turned to real growers. So it is growing on me, that album, and obviously it's Al, and I love what he does. Rohan, did anyone else got this on their 5 or any honorable mentions or anything like that?
So, do you want to do honorable mentions now, or I thought you want to do that?
I was wondering if this episode, album, got anywhere on.
Oh no! List. So for me, this was my number 5 too.
Oh, actually. Number 5 for you as well. Okay.
Yeah, my reason. So my relationship with Larry June is actually Dan O's in this chat. So I've heard of Larry June since a while, but I think it was really early 2022. Where I heard his name pop up again, and I just was in the patron chat for my show, and I was just asking people like, what should I check out? And he said check out the Orange Print. Very good choice. There's a lot of good Jake One production there, especially at the early on, and I was just like, damn, this is really cool. I wouldn't say I think that album is amazing though, but it's still quite good. And then he dropped Spaceships on the Blade. So anyway, from there I start to really binge. He has a million projects. I binged Spaceships on the Blade, was actually great. I have that on vinyl. And then I heard this album was coming out. I'm like, that's unbelievable. I have no idea how that'll sound. And yeah, I was just very surprised by how versatile it sounded. I actually saw him on Monday in concert.
Oh, wicked.
And just a great mix of like luxurious kind of, like West Coast, but still keeping that kind of like gritty boom bap flair that Alchemist like always does. But Alchemist was a great fit because he's always been good like with those yacht rock tapes and everything he's done. He's really good at making those exotic, like nice and fresh and tropical sounding beats. And I think this is the best project he's dropped. I think it's super fucking consistent. Got a lot of everything that he does well, and he's just really like a wholesome motivational type rapper where he's not really being like that lyrical really, but he's a good melodic guy. And he says do your taxes, and like he says a lot about taking care of your children, which I like. It's cool. It's just overall like a really wholesome vibe, and it hit me when I was like kind of on the upswing of my life romantically and got a girlfriend. It was good. Very good fit. Very good timing to get an album like this. Yes.
It's interesting that you got into him that way. I got in around the same time, but it was with 2 Peas in a Pod, which he did with Jay Worthy. That is like a much more pimp centric take. And to me, it's interesting because both of them work, but I know like Ray, if you want tracksuit drums, like that's a lot closer to like a classic LA sound. That's
mostly his catalog. That might be
the one for you, because he's not like when people talk about like, oh, drums and no drums, like it kind of depends on the rapper, and kind of like some people can do both, and he's like a lot more of a like kind of almost a traditional sound compared to like a Ka or a Woods or any of those guys that are going way, way left. Like that's not like the Larry June type of vibe. He's almost like very accessible, even if he's like on an indie level.
Yeah, booming bass, really deep bass lines, like G-Funk kind of expect. Cardo produced like multiple projects for him in full. So I'd say Mr. Midnight and Out the Trunk are my other favorites that are very much in that vein. This one is a left field for him, but both those are like my trifecta for him.
That's interesting.
In my opinion.
I just love what Al does with these artists, where he's finding them. Dan, I think it was Dan in one of our shows put it perfectly, where he just tailor suits for these artists that he wants to, help, or not even help, but just his artistic vision runs through the prism of their art kind of thing, if you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing. And I just wonder now where Al is. He's doing these things with these rappers that like Larry June, I don't really know much of. I don't know where it kind of goes, but this love for an album, like it feels like a record. It feels like it's sequenced well. It doesn't, like, even though I said it's a grower on me, one thing I have realized, like, there aren't many spaces where I'm like, this is a bit of a waste of my time, if you know what I mean. I'm getting something from each track, and it feels like there's a real love for making a body of work. He's done it, Al's done it numerous times, from Haram and all these other pieces he's done. They feel like a record, when maybe, I don't know if there's enough people out there who are making records, if you know what I mean. And Al has that, and I love that he's still done it with this as well. And the whole package is there, like the artwork truly ties into the sound, and all of it kind of really works really nicely together. Before I go to Ray, I'm just going to quickly check in on the chat because people have been going off. Let's have a look what they're saying. Great Escape says, Dano, yes. Jack P, The Great Escape is my number 3. Oh, look at this. We're hitting 5s already. Well played, SonRaw. It's so summery in feel, and Larry June and Al just go together so perfectly. Yeah, I think that works quite well. And question for SonRaw, are there any UK rap, grime, drill projects you've enjoyed this year, says Oz?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I like from the UK. Like on the grime side of thing, there was Con and Neat dropped an album called Lupus et Ursus. It's like Latin title. It's like half instrumental, but it's got like some really good kind of raga, like dance hall vibe, grime fusion-y tracks. Those are dope. I'm in the middle of writing a piece on Nine's Crop Circle 2 and Potter Paper, and like those are big commercial albums, so they're like a little outside of the focus of what we usually do here. But what really impresses me is like the UK commercial stuff is hitting at a time when I feel like US commercial rap is in a big slump. Like I didn't feel the Gunna record, I didn't feel the Dirk record. It feels like you're not getting those big projects. But in the UK, there's like a little less of the like punk influence, and you got a lot more like 50 Cent, Rockefeller, like street, like drug dealer tale type stuff, and that stuff's really hitting, but it's like big and bombastic. So it's like I'm currently kind of playing around with how there's a difference between the two scenes right now, because that stuff's cool, but it's not traditionally what I listen to UK music from, so it kind of surprised me.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Not tapped into the UK stuff, I'll be honest. Little Sims, I know, is out there doing a thing, but I've not really tapped in, so it's good to hear.
Love her.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Good to hear that. Before we move to you, Ray, I just have to put this out for Oz, and he's absolutely right. Alchemist should have sampled the Great Escape theme for the Great Escape. I mean, it kind of makes sense. I'm here for any Great Escape theme being used in hip hop. It would have stuck out like a sore thumb, let's be honest, though. It really would have. Ray, did you hear the Great Escape, Larry June, Al? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have listened through to it, and I was raised right, and my mum, said, if you haven't got anything nice to say, don't say anything more. But no, I have got nice stuff to say. Like, so 89 Earthquake, and in the same vein as what Oz just said about the Great Escape, I just like the whole left no evidence. Oh, evidence is on there, and then you check it out, and it's actually it's a sick track as well. So
that's a beautiful beat too.
Yeah, beautiful.
So I love it. Nice. And you like, as much as I generalize of like, oh, Alchemist doesn't put drums on the beach, then I'm writing them off altogether. Of course, there's some beautiful music in there, and it is actually. I don't know if it's a positive or negative. Take it how you want, but it's like nice background music. Like, because like Larry June is rapping about, paying your taxes and stuff like we've said, but it's kind of like on how he raps on this, I found very much you could have it in the background and not really tune into it. It's kind of like a satisfying kind of and the level of and the way the tunes are as well. Like anyway, yeah.
Mm.
I didn't hate it.
Yeah, which is a step forward. And I'm enjoying this. We're going to meet in the middle, like that meme with the Crips and Bloods, you know, when they're just like, we're going to be holding them tied bandanas together, my friend. At one point, somewhere in our lives, we will be doing that. But yeah, no, I understand that. And funny that you got a West Coast thing like that. And on my 5, there is a West Coast album, but it isn't this one. And it's been this love for West Coast has come back to me over I think we interviewed Cypress Hill. Was it this year? Jesus, what is time? I don't know. But it's like, yeah, you have this kind of West Coast vibe coming back into my rotation generally. And me and Dan, actually, in our Patreon, if you go listen, we talked about why Snoop is the great uncle of our hip hop learning, and almost liking him to our cousin, really. If you look at it, how when we grew up listening to Snoop. So yeah, go check out the Patreon for all that stuff. Anyway, so number 5, got your 2 5s. I'll go to mine then, Ray, before I jump to yours. And we got number 3 in there. Brilliant in the chat. My number 5, I am going for To What End by Oddisee. Now, Oddisee, a bit of I think it's 2 years break he's had, hasn't been around for a while. I've loved Oddisee when I hear him, but there isn't like an album of Oddisees where I'd be like, this album, it's an LP. I have albums of Elzai, where I'd be like, yeah, I know this Elzai project is my favorite Els. And with Oddisee, I haven't really always had that. And then this album dropped, and holy fucking shit, it's just hit hard on my end. Rohan talked about context earlier, and I don't think it's right for me to talk about my top 5 without really talking about the context of my year, which has been kind of very significant in my life, because I have listened to hip hop differently. So my pops passed away about 2 months ago. So people, I don't want to make a lead balloon of this kind of chat, but it does very much inform my 5 picks. And as I was going to the hospital for like 8 weeks in my car, listening to it in the car, listening to my headphone in hospitals with the smell and just the chaos of something like that happening to someone. When I heard something like To What End by Oddisee, it was like someone had opened just like a window and been like, you can breathe some fresh air right now whilst you're kind of going through all this shit. And as most of us heads here, music is quite therapeutic and it hits all those boxes for us. Oddisee did that for me this year, where I know what he delivers, but I think in this one, he's providing probably the most personal stuff he's done. And just someone opening up like that on numerous subjects, like his whole album. I think it was Dylan Green, my man Cinema Sai, who said, what did he say here? I've got it written down, actually. Oddisee has embraced being the rap game Sidney Poitier, which I thought was good. Mm-hmm. And every man folding his own life experiences into flows that recall the wanderlust of someone like Kendrick Lamar as much as the reverence of Little Brother. Now, Dylan, I had to quote you there because I was thinking that's exactly it. It's that life experience and everyman aspect, because I've always thought of Oddisee as being everyman hip-hop. He is everyman hip-hop, a true monument to the art of spitting. And I would say top tier lyricism, like a masterclass. On this album, there are moments where I'm just like, that's a masterclass. We're going to talk about verses of the year. I do have a verse of the year contender from Oddisee on this album as well. And I just think if you could provide me like this conscious level of hip hop, but as well self-reflection and kind of just vulnerability, stuff like that, and be dropping absolute bars with this live production, which sounds so good. It just sounds so good. He went live. I mean, he's been doing live production for a while now, but to see someone move into that and then just paint these amazingly personal portraits of his life for us with just such melody. There's a lot of melody on this album as well, and the depth is right there. And I just called it here in my notes. This is what solid gold hip hop sounds like. So that's where I've come out with this. He's got, I'll talk about his verses in a bit, but did anyone have any thoughts on Oddisee To What End? Did anyone hear it? Anyone got any, or in the live show, anybody? Step on up.
I haven't heard this one, but I agree with what you say about the everyman descriptor. And first off, shout out Disco Vietnam. He's the guy who always puts me onto Oddisee. He's like one of the guys that really like waves the flag for him. And I find a lot of times when like, at least when I say that, like it's damning with faint praise, like an everyman MC, because there's a lot of everyman MC. Like my joke is always like,
For sure.
It's a January release, so it's kind of, those sometimes that's not the easiest time to drop an album in a lot of ways. I heard it. I loved it. I really can understand how that resonated with you given what you were going through, because I think I actually think I did a review that was only for the patrons, so it didn't release publicly, but I think one of the main things I noticed was that he was really open about like the idea of like, to what end is like, what are we doing this for? And like for his kind of framing, it's like, why am I being an artist? Why like am I striving to be a good father? Those kind of things, the really big topics. And I think for the most part, it was really interesting how he put it all together. And that everyman thing, I think I made the comment, because I've always thought this, and I think I put in the review though, but like I always think of J. Cole as a comparison to Oddisee, in the fact that, I mean, I like J. Cole quite a bit, but J. Cole has always been an everyman MC that is kind of damning with faint praise, as SonRaw put it, because it's like you're everyman not because you're relating to like the everyday person. You're an everyman because you're relating to the everyday person in a way that is not that insightful, and it's very surface level and kind of generic. And it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, I relate to that, but it's because you're being very generic. Whereas with Oddisee, I think he's a lot more insightful in terms of like the ins and outs of being a regular person trying to like take care of your family, navigate certain societal issues. I think he just does a great job on it. And there's definitely a lot of melody on this album. I think he like made a point to make like bigger songs. There's a lot more focus on like singing and the choruses, which is a little bit of a change for him. And I think it's one of his best. I don't think it's my favorite. I think The Good Fight's probably still my favorite.
That's a good album.
It's a very good album.
Yeah, absolutely. Ray, Oddisee, what's he saying to you, man?
So my favorite would have been Tangible Dream, and some of the thing I would say about Oddisee is that he raps in a way that it's evident that he's written his rhymes to the beat. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of catered perfect. It's catered for the music. And one of the standout tunes that was particularly like that is what's it called? Get Out to Meadow.
Oh, Get Out to Meadow is incredible.
That's the one with Freeway.
With Freeway, kind of like, fucking Freeway, bro. Freeway's on here.
That was a crazy collab. I did not expect.
That's one of my features of the year.
That's
one of my features of the year was Freeway. But yeah, no, Get Out to Meadow, absolutely. Go on, Ray. Sorry.
No, yeah, that's it. I mean, it's one of the albums that I don't think I'll be listening to. Like again, it didn't grip me as much as his previous albums, but it's it's Oddisee being Oddisee, so it's.
I feel you.
I mean that in a good way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, that verges into my other categories I have, which we're going to talk about later in the show, but I'll just knock mine out of the park because we're here now. Feature of the year, I'm not saying Freeway is it, but just I was like, oh, what Freeway's on here? And delivered and interpolated Farsight. So I was like, yeah, okay, let's go. I'm absolutely here for all these layers of like just touching all the best things I like. And verses of the year I have, these aren't my number one picks, but the start of something, the way he ends it with children and ancestors to plan better and all that line is killer. But he talks about like the level of, obviously, you talked about it earlier, of why am I doing this and stuff like that. And but then also being a fucking battle MC, and my favorite rapper is just Cattle, I will snap at the throat, stuff like that. And the line here, you from the end, I'm from the edge. That's why I'm balanced within. I learned that challenge is a test. I write my answers with pen. And I was like, you from the end, I'm from the edge. That's why I'm balanced within. Was just doing my nut for ages. I was like, that's fucking great. And I think it's that same song where he does this everyman rap of what's he say? Took a stab at making life better with mic stands, which made me think, Yeah, but he's fucking really annoyed at, like, when he's performing, that he might sometimes need a fucking mic stand. I took a stab at it, and might not have worked for him or whatever. But then goes into like his father and just being observed as an artist and stuff like that. And that verse. Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite categories is beat switches of the year, and that is one of my best beat switches of the year is on that as well. That ending is just such a beautiful journey of a song. That is absolutely. And
no, the best beat switch of the year is probably on Maps, but doesn't matter. We'll get to Maps.
I think I know which one you're going to go into. There's one beat switch on there that I absolutely love. But yes, I can't believe Ray brought up Maps before any of us. This is amazing. But where are we living? This is amazing. And the other verse of the year contender I have is Ghetto to Meadow, because he comes dashing out the gates with this hook and this first verse in such an epic way. It's just like bam, 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 bam. He's not like rappity rapping, but it is more like, holy fucking shit, you're like delivering me gems without even giving me a minute to kind of breathe. Those are, I've got a few more cuts here, but I'll move on to the next one. So yes, number 5 for me was Oddisee. Before I go to Ray, let's have a quick look what people are saying. Let's have a look. The start of Many Hats is incredible, says Jack P. Yes, it is. To many people and many things, but never me. And that thing's beginning to bear a strain. This is what I'm talking about. This guy is like really laying his fucking soul out there, and it just hits when you kind of need that. I was a big fan of Oddisee as a rapper and a producer, but I haven't absolutely loved a project since The Good Fight. I do like The Good Fight. It is a great album. Quite old now, isn't it, I think? And Oddisee's peaks to me are People Hear What They See and the First Diamond District project. A feature of the year, he says. I'm not going to read that out because that's my feature of the year. That's my feature of the year. So I'm not going to spoil my feature of the year, and my he's in another category that guy as well.
Even though everyone present can read that, but it's fine. Yeah, we'll just pretend it's not there.
Other people who are listening,
the non-live listeners,
for the non-live listeners, I'm not going to spoil. At least 2 of my categories are in that one answer.
Yeah, but you're also trusting that none of us are just going to read it.
I know you guys, that I do trust you. There's a level of trust there. You're right, absolutely. Ray, then, here we go. You're number 5, my friend. What have you got?
Oh, man. A bit shiny forehead. I should have gone to makeup beforehand.
You should have. I was going to say that.
My number 5, I didn't actually put them in order. I never do that. What am I going to... Which one? We've it's going to be
these for years, and he still never puts them in order.
Yeah, why don't you put it in the brief that you send out? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So Gunsmoke 38 Spesh. It's exactly my kind of hip hop. It's exactly like he rhymes satisfyingly. He's a big character. He's he's so street. It's so good. It's just, and his kind of slow, it's like a slow flow, but like a reliable rhyme where you expect it and he rewards you. The expectation of the rhyme, boom, hits you with it. That whole like, there's a one line, it's on the first track. I keep it classy, but keep one hand inside of the street like I need a taxi. So it's just little things that it's funny. It's just there's little lines in there, but so gangster. It's so good. And there's a track on there, Outside, it's Harry Fraud. And it's such a Harry Fraud beat as well. And the thing with the Harry Fraud beat as well is that the beat drops the way the beat should drop it's the way the beat should drop in Al's beats, but they never drop in Al's beats. It's just like, oh, here we go. The beat's gonna they never fucking drops. But Harry Fraud fucking rewards you every time. He's got one of the tracks on that album. It's it's one that, because I've been listening to the Create 808 Bangers playlist and just various different sources. You get your hip hop from various different areas, Bandcamp, etc. And I've been like populating these are my tracks of the year. I'll listen to this track, and I'll slowly build like a playlist of just tracks. But there's certain times I'm like driving, and then there's a couple of tracks from this album that I've got on that playlist, and I'm like, no, let's fucking go to the album. And then that's what's kind of led me to it more. Cause it's just, I don't know. Yeah,
it is a good listen. It's a good listen. I have it on my like kind of long list. It is in that massive 40 I've got. But also Bangers of the Year, Saint Bruno. I love Outside. I love Dark and Grim, but Saint Bruno is heavy duty hip. I love it. Absolutely love that song. But yeah, the whole I really enjoy it. 38 Spesh. Fred the Godson.
This is, we said, sorry to interrupt.
No,
but,
go.
We said earlier about tunes to set your alarm clock to wake up in the morning. That's a tune I wake up and it's just, that's in my head already. It's just a vibe. It's like, I don't know.
I love it. Yeah. I love it when something crawls in like an earworm and just manifests itself like a horror film in your head. Like, where it's like, this is it's like
kind of sinister strings. It's
yeah. No, he knows what he's doing. One thing I will say, we do have an artwork section of this podcast, best artwork. I just want to say some of the worst artwork is Gunsmoke. Like the artwork is not.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. It did make me think: is this an EP? What's happening?
He has some. Not to shit on 38 Spesh, but if I remember correctly, like a lot of projects he's involved in are just like, the fuck, man. What is this? Like I could have made this. Someone who's actually his like a weird. He's hit and miss. But for a while he was just miss, and I think this is going to offend people. But Rock Marciano has some bad artwork.
Oh, that's fair.
I've grown to like the Rosebud ones, and now I like the red one. But that's because that's like literally my favorite album of his, maybe other than Elephant Man's Bones. But like early on, like Marsberg artwork, like what the?
No,
it's
iconic. Don't have a go at Marsberg, please.
But that's the thing. It's iconic now.
But no,
it's iconic, but it's like still I don't like it. But it's like it's so basic, but it's cool now because it's just like I'm standing, and this doesn't even look good or pleasing on the.
I think my version of like I want rap beats with drums is like I'm a fan of rappers taking photos for their album covers. I don't want to see anybody's abstract art unless you're.
I'm so the opposite.
Me too.
Unless you're really good at it. Like if you actually make a point with it, I'm super like all the Alk projects and
Did you like Elephant Man's Bones? Did you like that artwork?
I like that one.
Alchemist like sourced that, so I think that's kind of why.
Those are all really like I know that they care about it, but there's a lot of times I'm looking at it and I'm like, nah, you just chose some random thing and got AI to like you typed in abstract artwork, and I'm like, I hate that. Just take a picture in front of your whip. You're a rapper.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
I feel that.
Yeah,
but speaking to Spesh, the one that really hit me was a couple of years ago. It was A Bullet for Every Heathen. He did that one with Big Ghost, who I know like people have opinions, but that's actually one of my favorite Big Ghost projects. Like every once in a while, he really taps in with an artist. But Spesh is amazing. I'd love to work with him. He has one of the best modern rap voices. I feel like
great voice.
Can, like, rap whatever and it'll sound dope because he just has that. Like it's like a twang, but it's not Southern because he's from the North. It's this really unique cadence. And that's a great pick.
Yeah. No, it's got a great cadence. Every time I think of 38 Spesh recently, though, it was that viral video where he's beating the shit out of that guy. Like, did anyone see this video?
Where, I did.
And I was like,
I did.
He don't fuck. Like, I will not fuck with him. He's like, he sounds like he's someone you shouldn't fuck with. And then when you see the video going around on Twitter, you're like, I definitely won't fuck with 38 Spesh. Absolutely. So great artwork. Next one.
You need to Jamie that and put a link to it.
Oh, do I need to Jamie that? You can do that, Ray. You're Jamie. I'm not Jamie. I'm Joe Rogan. I'm not Joe Rogan either. I'm not Joe Rogan either. I'm just saying, if we're in that chemistry, I'm not Jamie. Do not sidekick me. I'm not sidekick. That's what I meant. I'm the sidekick. Someone's going to cut that now, aren't they? I'm Joe Rogan, and that's going to go fucking around. I'm going to get fucking cancelled. Fucking bollocks.
I'll be Jamie.
You be Jamie. Yeah. No, but do if you want to get a bit of an idea of who 30 Spesh actually is, there you go. What was I saying before any of that shit? I can't remember now. No, great artwork, 38 Spesh. No one's going to fuck with you. It's absolutely great. Yeah, everyone loves it. So what are we looking at here? Oh, Ninja's Rose is back. Ninja's Rose. Peace. Been a while. Apologies for lack of presence. Have a huge project on. That sounds enticing. Yes, we have missed you, my man. Oz Spesh has a weird rapping style. The way he inflects the end of a bar is kind of irritating.
It's exactly why I love him. That's like why I don't even really love him, to be honest, but like why I always will try to give him a chance, even though I actually hadn't checked out this project, to be honest, as I'm saying that, is because of that shit. It's fucking cool. I really like the way he inflects, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's me.
Keep going with that impression. I want to see.
It's sick. Both Oz and Ninja's Rose are incorrect. That's
what they say. Kind of irritating. Ninja's Rose felt the same way. He sounds whingy to me. Oh my God.
What does whingy mean? Is this some UK stuff?
Whingy is like someone's moany.
Whiny.
Bitching.
Moany. I mean, but that's the thing. I agree, but I like just have a different conclusion. I like the moany shit.
Yeah. The whinginess. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Whinging in hip hop. Who's the top 5 whingiest rappers? There we go. There's a call to action.
Drake is very whingy. And I don't like it sometimes when he does that, to be honest. It's quite annoying.
Yeah. So
that's fair.
Never listen to that.
Interesting. Crate808@gmail.com for anyone else who's got the whingiest rappers. I will read those out absolutely. And so what else we got here? Oz 2023 is the year that Navy Blue dropped a project that I couldn't get into. Oz, welcome. I'm going to do that Simpsons meme now. That's how my mind works, is in memes and GIFs. And I'm just saying, welcome. Sit down with me right now. That's how I feel a little bit, mate. And he's got one of my bands.
I don't feel all the way with you guys, but it's definitely my least favorite Navy Blue project. Yeah, if we're talking about Oddisee, you're in. Songs of Sage is a classic in my opinion. And then did he draw? Oh yeah, and then the one after was very good too. This Navy one Blue, was just decent. It was good,
I was never a huge Navy Blue fan. Like, he is very Soulquarians common to me, which is not my favorite mode of listening. But this one, because I think he made it a little bit more accessible. Like, I can't say that, like, I like every song. Like, it gets to be a bit much, but there's definitely 2 or 3 that stayed in rotation, maybe more than a lot of his other projects. But that's coming as someone who wasn't necessarily like a big fan to start from.
Yeah, you probably like Kill Switch and shit like that.
Kill Switch is a great song though.
Kill Switch is incredible. Window to the Soul. Like, I still like the album. It's just not to the level.
Yeah. But how can you sustain that? You know, like, not everyone's Billy Woods, not everyone is Alchemist. Like, you can't always. And he's a growing artist. It's his major label, right? It's the first major label he's on, I think. One.
It's on Def Jam.
Def Jam.
So
Def Jam.
And it's got
Blue.
that.
Yeah. So
I like the one. I think it was the one that I like because he sang that hook and he pulled it off where it didn't sound like a Drake hook. Like, sometimes you can sit, like, when rappers sing, it just feels he's whinging or whining. Or whatever. That one, I was like, oh man, you're pulling this off. This is actually decent singing. You're not like just rap singing.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing we're missing is the footballer references. Navy Blue does more footballer references than anybody else in hip hop, and that's why I listen to him. So
he does not do more than Woods. He does not do more than Woods. I think Woods does the most I've ever heard. Football? You mean
football as in
proper football?
Our football. Yeah. No, although Kendrick did drop a verse saying I'm the 5'4" Messi or something, and I was like, him and Baby Keem were talking about Messi and Neymar. This is great. So yeah, this is just an ongoing theme in this show, is the fact that we do love to have football references and soccer for the Americans out there and the Canadians. But yes, okay. So here we go then, Rohan. You're number 4, my friend. Where are you taking us? What have you got?
So I'm taking you to Sketch 185 and Jeff Markey's He Left Nothing for the Swim Back. This is one of the most like exhilarating albums I've heard in a long fucking time. Like Sketch's delivery, if you haven't heard, it's very obviously unique. Like, there's really, it goes without saying, super urgent, bombastic. Because I had him on the show, I remember he was describing how he developed this kind of rap style, and it's like him and, I'm forgetting, but a person I used to work with that helped kind of develop their style was he basically raps where he like purposely is adding more words than typically makes sense in that bar, but somehow makes it look cool, and he does. And then the production from Jeff Markey is just super cutting edge. Again, very unique. The lyrics, like, they take you on a journey that really makes you feel emotionally spent. Like, I just feel like, it's not bad or good. It's just like, I'm kind of just like emotionally released, and I'm just like, I feel nothing almost, because it was it's such an intense album at times. And this is incredible. And it was really good to see the response too. Like, I know it was his Backwoods debut, so the label's been doing well, so I knew it'd do well, but like, people really love this, especially like I know a lot of personal friends that have never heard of him and that really fucking love this album. And I think it's just the production's great. And I just think him lyrically, there's a million quotables. I'll say that there's life lessons and like jewels that you should just pick out and just live off, put it on your wall. Like, it's a fucking masterful album. Yeah. That's my number 4.
Okay. A chaotic choice there. There is some real It's intense. It's an intense listen, isn't it? And I haven't really got it on my long list or anything because I don't think I've really given it the time, to be honest, to really go in. The Woods track is my favorite that I've heard off it. I can't remember what that's called.
Black Republican After Taxes. That's what he says on that shit.
Amazing. Like this is that there are those earworm gems where I'm like, that is going to be something. But again, not really dove in enough. You've given me that kind of kick, I think, to be like, okay, shit, maybe this is just something that, we have a slow burn category. Maybe it's one of them for me. And by the end of the year, I could be absolutely rinsing it because it sounds like it should have everything that I love on it, which is just it's not industrial, but it's like just unsettling like industrial is, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it definitely has like an industrial hip hop influence. I can't really, it's hard to categorize that, that sound. I would also say if you ever get a chance to see this guy live, holy shit. Like I saw him, I went to the Maps release show in Brooklyn and it had all like many Backwoods artists play like a few tracks. And this guy, holy fuck, like that's one of the best live performances. Like he's even more locked in and he's just intense. He like, fuck, it was crazy. Like I was blown away. So
wow, okay.
It's a fucking honor to see that.
You don't honestly hear that much, from rappers doing such intense performances. That's amazing. Sorry, SonRaw, what were you saying?
No, I was going to mirror what you said, where it's like I heard it, I liked it. It dropped right before I went on vacation where I was listening to Larry June. So part of me is like, call me back in November when it's like rainy and cold. That will be the time that I really get into it. Because like I definitely recognize that it was like, oh, this is really good. But actually speaking to your Willie Green interview, Rohan, which I really, really enjoyed, like sometimes like you can know something is good, but it's not necessarily like the moment that it's going to hit you. And I kind of feel like that way about the record where when it dropped, I'd just gotten out of some really intense shit. So I just did not want to listen to something that would put me in that mind state. But I was like, oh, this is really good. This is really admirable art. I have to circle back to it kind of thing.
I think that's actually, I'm with you there as well. I reckon that intensity isn't what I need right now. And you're right. Yeah. I think that's what it is. And I'm looking at my 5 now thinking, oh shit, yeah, they're all very not that, which maybe that's just the way I've been for this year. But yeah, that's an interesting pick. Ray, did you a great album title name as well? That's a great album title. Like,
oh yeah,
come on, I'm in. It feels a little bit like Lord Kana had one, which was about swimming. I can't remember what that was, but the artwork for that was sick as well. About 2 years ago, and Lord Kana, absolutely killed that album. Ray, did you hear this album?
No, I haven't heard it, but I've playlisted it now. So
there we go. Okay, can't wait to see
this episode. But but edit it in. I
will.
I think.
Yeah,
and then we'll cut that in.
Perfect. No one will notice. No one will notice. That's the thing. Yeah. Okay, so we've done SonRaw. You're number 4, my friend. What have you got, my man?
Going from one form of intensity to a different form of intensity. I got Este Nacksaw Jim Duggan for my number 4. Okay. I am a resident Griselda stan, but there's, as they hit their like Woo affiliate phase, there's going to be an increasing amount of projects that maybe don't hit, like, especially the ones that aren't executive produced by Gun. But this one really hit it to me. Everything from the Spanglish to the interludes with the Dominican music to Knack, like just being an absolute insane madman, to like getting Hacksaw to do like a custom drop. I was not a huge fan of E1 getting into beef with Westside Gun. Pay your producers, like credit your producers. Also, if Westside Gun comes knocking, like settle that stuff behind stage. Like I just saw they took the track off, and like that's not a good look for you either.
What happened there? I didn't get any of that. What was that news?
Apparently, I don't like repeating hearsay, but I think like Knack had an E1 track on his hard drive, and it made the project, and like he didn't like the business wasn't settled. And then E1 went like kind of did a perfunctory like DM to Westside Gun, but immediately went public with it. And then there was like a beef, and it was all really dumb. And I was looking, it's like no one in this situation came off.
Yeah, I would. For Knack, Davino, get Westside Gun, Griselda related projects before, and this I think was kind of. Again, I'm not going to try to comment. You never know. Like, we don't know if we got every single DM because there were some emails and photos taken. But from what I gather, it sounds like it was a miscommunication, probably on both ends. Could have maybe been handled probably. I don't really want to speak too harshly on either side, but it sounded from what I gather for sure that this was like a tipping point where like Iwan was like, okay, I fucking had it. Like, Jesus Christ. Because he put like other tracks, which have been out for years, where he produced it. I knew he produced it because I do check the credits, but on Spotify and those major sites, like it's still not credited. I'm sure if that probably means his like publishing isn't taken care of.
No, and as a producer, that's happened to me a couple of times.
You
know, with people that I actually don't have a problem with because I know they didn't make any real money on the track anyway, so I'm not doing it. But like, you know, I'm just gonna say pay your producers. That's like a good, you know, indication. But other than that, I just really like the project. Like, I was listening to this album, the Naxal one, and I was like, Conway's got to be just sitting there listening to it and like, I should have got on those beats. I should have got on those beats because it's so much better than what the people that aren't fucking with West Side Gun is doing in that lane. That it's like, you know, I'm just there and I'm like, he can put together an album really well, like with someone who isn't particularly known. And I just like that he gave Knack a look because Knack isn't, you know, we were talking about Everyman. He's not like just a normal MC. He rhymes really unique and really weird. Like we mentioned, you know, there's a little bit of Big Pun in there, but like, especially when you go into his interviews, he's talking about like all these underground Massachusetts rappers that he grew up on and that maybe never got a shot. And like, to just kind of pluck this really unique, like how many like Latino 5% nation rappers are there? That's like a unique combination. And that's kind of what, you know, that's the through line through all my picks today is like just people that I'm like, they're one of ones. They're not someone that like can really be copied, whether that's Larry June, whether that's Knack, and like the next three MCs I'm going to rhyme. I feel the same way about that they have their own spot. And that's a long and the short of it.
Interesting. So I've not heard this album yet. Absolutely brilliant album name. We should have this as a category. Like we've got one there from Sketch and this one as well. What is it called again?
That's true.
What is this called again?
Naxal Jim Duggan.
Naxal Jim Duggan. Like I'm in. I'm already in. I haven't heard it, but if you could just break down who's on the beats, what do the beats sound like? Like when you say that about Conway, what's this? Are any good songs?
I have a question about the Conway comment because I don't know if I agree with you, but go.
Oh, okay.
I think J.R. Swift's on it. Camouflage Monk. E1 was on it. He's not on it no more.
Denny LaFleur,
the general Griselda, like current crop. I don't think Derringer's on it.
Any Craven?
No Craven.
No Craven, no.
Okay.
But it has got a mixture of
coming together.
There's a mixture of like heavy beats, but also no drums as well. You know, it's this meme that's happening.
Pretty eccentric. Well, so. Like that's the thing where I was saying about Conway. Like I'm not saying Conway can't, but Conway hasn't really shown a desire to be on beats like this ever. Like these beats, like where it's like the first track. I'm thinking of the first track. The Conductor Williams also is on this album a lot.
Right. Also,
that's like I've never heard Conway on a beat that fucking weird, where it's just like this weird discordant sound, no drums.
No, I think I meant more like the slow to Cali ones. Like they're like it always reminds me of like Chopped and Screwed, like to Cal. Like the second track with Divino for sure. Like those ones were the ones I was talking more than like the soul. Like I can tell that Conway at some point, like, you know, must be looking West Side Gun like, what are you having people rap on? But I mean, I'm also like, I'm tired of a lot of trap beats. I'm kind of done with a lot of that side of things. So I'm excited by it. But
I like the sound mostly. I think sometimes it's even a little more skeletal or structuralist than I'd like. Cause I think Knack already kind of can make everything weird if he wants, just by the way he raps and like, he kind of is like Mach in the way he kind of sings. In a way that's like really cool. I think they both kill it. And on this album, he put it to another level on Angel Dior. But yeah, I really like it. And I think it's one of my honorable mentions. I know we'll get to that, but that's definitely one of them.
Sweet.
And it's also got one of my favorite just random moments in the studio where at the end of I think it's SpaceX, he goes and he's just like scatting on the mic a cappella, and you're like, what kind of madman did you put on the microphone? I just like I remember like that era in rap where like your project would get A&R'd to death. It's major label. You got to have a song for the ladies, a song for the girls. This is like the opposite of that. They just let the guy do what he wanted. And we're like, all right, we're putting it out. And
okay.
The people to figure out if that's insanity.
It seems like he's been received well, so I'm happy for him.
Oh, good.
He's a good
play.
dude.
Fair play.
He's a Massachusetts boy, 100%. I saw him perform a bit actually live this year and got to talk to him. He's big into the sports teams, Patriots, Celtics, all that shit. Yeah.
Sweet. He showed up here on the coldest day in 25 years, and he was so shook. He was like, "Yo, you guys came out. It's cold outside." And I'm from Massachusetts. Like he couldn't. Like he broke records that day.
Oh shit. Okay. That's amazing. I just only know him, and this is a shameless name drop. I only know him from DJ Muggs recommending him to me. I was interviewing Muggs and he was like, I'm working with SD Nat. You should really check out SD Nat. This is like years ago. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's the only time. But yeah, absolutely. Rightly so. He is, like you said, a one of one. Ray, have you heard this album? Any thoughts on this album?
Yeah, I heard it. There was some nice beats, and there was some like where are the drums, which it just becomes tiresome me mentioning that all the time. But yeah, it didn't grip me, but it's not really my flavor.
Yeah, okay, fair, absolutely. So let's quickly start that again, and let's quickly go into the chat and see what people are saying. My number 5 is Less Field as Fuck. I don't really listen to UK hip hop, but Cosm Tuscan Leather is fire, says Ninjas Rose. Interesting. Why does Tuscan Leather ring a bell to me? I don't know why, but I'm sure it'll come to me. Okay, I will
Drake song?
Drake song.
Yeah, but there is that. No, but I was wondering about this project. I was thinking, have I heard about this? Either way, maybe it is the Drake song that's just in there, and it's just somehow become a UK rap thing. I didn't really care for Budgie's beats, says Oz. I'm wondering if you're talking about on that album. Anyone have Ice Cold Bishop's album in their top 5? I loved it. Really full listen. Anyone? Ice Cold Bishop's album?
Did not. I couldn't. I don't know why. Everybody seems to really like it that I talk to about hip hop, but I listened to. I'll be honest. Actually, I think I listened to 3/4 of it and changed it, and I don't think I've gone back because I was just super unimpressed. But I don't really know why. It was like it's one of those where you're like, oh, there's a lot of effort. There's a concept going on. He's technically sounding good. But I could have just been in a mode where I just wanted something else to listen to, and I never went back. But I need to, so that's my fault.
Okay,
I've heard good things.
All right, okay.
Same here, pretty much. I wanted to like it. I really liked the Paul Thompson review. I really loved his verse on the Boldy James album.
Super Tecmo Bo, yeah.
Yeah, something about the beats didn't grab me, but again, it could have been like I need to give it another listen for sure.
That's where I recognise that now off the Super Tecmo. Absolutely, what a verse! Yeah. So what else we got here? Not Waving but Drowning is Lord Connor's album. Yes, Oz, that's the one. Jack P says Sketch feels like quite an unorthodox rapper and has some wild rapid flow. There you go.
Very true.
Jack P, I had that in my 10, but I didn't make my 5. Oz, it's really great, worth the wait. I think he's talking about the Ice Cold Bishop album. Ninjas Rose, my number 4. Oh, Lloyd Banks, The Course of the Inevitable.
Wasn't that last year?
Last year, man. We talked about that last year.
No, there's a new one this year.
No,
there's a new one this year. I've heard it's
3,
also good. I
Pieces
didn't
of
get
My
a chance
Pain.
to listen to it.
There we go. Lloyd Banks, number 3, Pieces of My Pain. Ninjas Rose schooling me.
You mentioned like best album that I like that I'll probably never listen to again. Like I always listen to them once. I always enjoy them. There's like kind of a ceiling to how much I want to hear Lloyd Banks rap like on a regular basis, but he's really good at what he does. Like I'm happy he's feeding his fans and I always like it. It's just it's very meat and potatoes. Like
meat and potatoes hip hop. We're here for
does he still sound like he's recorded it on a cheap microphone in his bedroom? I don't know why he does that.
Why is he doing that?
Why is he doing that?
I know that last album, there were some bangers on there, man. Oh, right. So I'm good to know Lloyd Banks is still on the scene. That's good.
All right.
Here we go.
That's passed me by as well. Playlisted. There's so much more to listen to.
Like so much content.
When we do that end of the year one, I'll just be listening to these albums. That's all it is.
I know. So Oz, what other good knack wrestling puns are there? Any way to get a pun in here? Oz loves it. He is the big pun of this show. Bob Knacklund, good. Vince Knackman, that is good. That's really good. The more I think about it, the better that gets. And the Bush Knackers, which not as good, but still I enjoyed it. I enjoyed you went through with this. I will need too much brain power. I've got so much more to do on the show to really.
I mean, that works if you drop it in a bar like fucked her for hours, left the bush knackered.
Let the bush.
Oh God!
There he is.
Damn! I didn't know you were a rapper.
Call me a ghostwrite. No.
The knick-knack lol. He should have had an album about weird shaped crisps, says Ninja's Rose. Knick-knacks over there. I don't know if anyone in America has these. These are very weird shaped crisps. And you're right. And that's maybe my brain going to a loop about why aren't more people doing albums about crisps? It's true, right? So anyway, let's go into my number 4 then. My number 4. This is my West Coast choice for the year. It's very, very simple to put it this way. It is not this way at all. But if no one's ever really listened to YUNGMORPHEUS before, I guess most people have who are listening to the show, but we do have a few listeners who don't hear a lot about these artists. YUNGMORPHEUS is out here and he dropped From Whence It Came. And this, for people who don't know, he's born in Florida, but he has such a distinct Californian kind of vibe, especially in this album. And him producing on here was a very interesting wrinkle. I was interested to see where he goes with this, because some of the stuff he's done on here is some of my favorite shit. I was like, yeah, is he gonna become that kind of artist now where you're delivering on all sides? And I had this kind of way of putting it. It's like, it's not this really, but it is, if you're in a gateway, lo-fi G-funk. It is this lo-finess, very the way the record rides. This record for me rides out, and at times it makes me feel like I'm surfing on fucking clouds. And then you listen to the lyrics and he's talking about fucking love, mates, power struggles, fucking just reaching for something more in life and just being alive. It feels like an album that makes me relish, again, putting in context where I've been, just fucking relish being alive a little bit, where you're like, yeah, this is just nice to see. And then I peeped some of the videos with Fire Anakin and stuff, and he's there cooking up, I think, Sava Bread, the music video. Go check that album. That song's wicked. But just the way he's cooking up and his mates are coming around and they're just smoking, they're just blazing, eating good food and drinking wine. And I was like, hold on, these rappers, they're not my age. Like, the rappers I know were timmed out and outside and fucking, stomping people in mosh pits. And these guys, no, I'm going to cook for you guys and we're going to have nice wine and weed whilst we do it. And it just felt like, shit, this is my hip hop right here. So yeah, I just think it is a varied album. It is the first YUNGMORPHEUS project where I've just been like, holy shit, I've got to rewind this again and again. And there's one of my songs of the year is on this album. And that one is For the Evening, produced by, is it Alchemist? Is it Alchemist on that one? I can't remember. But that is such a bop of a song. Like, I played it to you, I think I said it to you, Ray, where I was like, this is just, you can't help but think of West Coast and G-Funk, and it just ventures into other areas. It takes that germination from that amazing genre that I grew up in and me and Ray grew up in, and then it takes it to drum and bass territory. Like, he's got a track on here which sticks out, but it also feels kind of right. Like, you're like, shit, you're just doing drum and bass now. This is a really interesting way.
Heavy bags, I think you're talking about.
Heavy bags, yeah. And I thought August Phenomenon here was sick. I haven't heard of some of these other producers as well, but just an album that I have just been rinsing over and over again. There are moments of just sublime, like, just exactly what I want. Like, I think we talked about it, SonRaw, on our Tribe Called Quest, top 5 Tribe Called Quest songs. And I talked about journeys in a song. If someone can give me a journey musically or just whatever, in that, it could be 10 seconds. And he does it on this. He has luscious moments of like, oh, this little 10 seconds is really, and there's a throwback feel. It feels like there's some throwback, like 80s, like 90s R&B. There's like, it's interesting. Just like Latin guitar on some things. And just really hit me on a lot of different levels, really. YUNGMORPHEUS. Anybody got this on their long list or anything to say about From Whence It Came?
It's one of my honorable mentions, but it was very close to making it. I love it. I don't know if it's my favorite morph, but it's like in the top 3. Like, if you like the West Coast kind of more feeling stuff, I think his project with Idris, because I think Idris has a beat here too, or couple. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but there's some that sound like something that would have been off his Affable with Pointed Teeth, which is one of his absolute best. That was probably his most popular record until this one. I really love this album. I think when I spoke to YUNGMORPHEUS about this on my show, I think he said this is like the album to get to know Colby, like that's his real name, to get to know him. And I think it's also notable because it has multiple producers. Everything he's dropped for the last several years have been one producer albums. So this was like a kind of a new chapter for him to have like kind of show how he can make an album like this. And yeah, I agree. The best part about it is how fucking well it flows, how like good of a nice of a journey it is from start to finish. And yeah, funny enough, this is also an unforced theme, but I've seen him live recently. I saw him when I was in New York a couple weeks ago. He was rapping with a wine glass in his hand, which I've never fucking seen in my life. And if you imagine, like, yeah, some of his content sometimes dark, but he's having fun. And he was like very like animated with like his like all those little like clever little coy jokes that he has, or little like clever little lines. He really like embodies that in real life. Like he's having fun, and he's like, he knows he's intelligent, and like it's just a very good album. And from Whence It Came, he loves those fucking like those like Victorian era terms. He has a very nice vocabulary. He's always been a fan of vocabulary for whatever reason growing up, I hear. And yeah, just love great album, great choice.
Interesting. Yeah, man. SonRaw, any shouts on YUNGMORPHEUS or Ray?
Yeah, actually, shout out Rohan, because I found him through your podcast, actually.
Oh, sick.
When you did the piece. I wasn't familiar with him before. Because of that, I haven't listened to him a whole lot yet. This was like kind of the first project I got into. I like him a lot. Whether I'm caught up on the journey or not, remains to be seen. But he's definitely one of those people where it's like, oh, I like this one. When the next one drops, I'm checking it out right away. And he's someone who, to me, like, it sounds like he still has room to grow. Yeah. And I don't mean that as praise. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. That's unique. I want to see you do even more with it, kind of thing. But yeah, it's definitely on the long list, especially like for an MC that wasn't on my radar before. Not that I'm like always trying to be the first guy on anything. That's really not my vibe anymore. But it was cool. Like the first project I heard from him, I was like, oh, cool. This is good. I want to hear more of this.
Yeah. It's made for this time of year. Like if I listen to Cassava Bread in the water, South Spot, you should have the sun dancing on your face when you listen to some of this music. I feel like it is made for that. And I think, it just works really well. Ray, any thoughts on this album, if you've heard it or not heard it?
Yeah, there was, I mean, he's impressive lyrically, and he's, so Where It Goes is right on my street. That's the opening track. And then there's Hold Tight, I Don't Mention It. He's got a line in that you talk a lot of shit in your rhymes, but who played them? And that is just like, that's exactly it. That's my comment about a lot of the other, just your choices usually. But, it's just that people just raps about nothing, not clever, nothing. And then a line like that is like, I feel like he said it for me, because I was listening, because there are some, look, I've got probably more strict about the kind of beats that I want in my life, which maybe is becoming evident. So some of the tunes on this, I'm skipping. The one that was the kind of drum and bass one, I was like, I
didn't feel it. Yeah, I think that's the risk he played with that.
But again, when you putting out an album like this, which, as you said, Rohan, is that multiple different producers. Some things you're gonna enjoy, and some things you're not. So
That's interesting that you say that, but do you like, I don't want to resort to kind of like doing the lowest common denominator, but like when you hear like Faded Memories, that is 100% a beat Dilla would have mined. Like these are the moments in this album where I'm like, it's reaching back. It's also, this is what I'm talking about, varied. It is reaching back to this throwback era as well. But as well, at the same time, you're going, is it Cell Towers or near the Cell? Yeah, near the Cell Towers. It's just a brilliant, weird rap moment, that whole moment. And so I'm interested to see where he just goes with like just fleshing these things out. And man, this one that I'm definitely getting on board.
Is the Cell Towers the August Phenon one with Logi featured?
I think it is. Song? Yes.
That's one of maybe the best song. Logi's features nuts.
Yeah,
that was a contender for one of my features of the year. And yeah, August Phenon. wow. I've heard in the ether that YUNGMORPHEUS and Fanon have a project. I've heard this for years, couple of years, and I think he said on Twitter it's like coming, but they're waiting. So that was a while ago, so maybe it's been scrapped or maybe not. But just saying that's something to keep an eye out for.
That sounds interesting because one of the tracks on there, which is it Fire Happy Bun? That's the August Fanon track, I think, and that Fanon track, that is the ominous production on there. That's made me interested to see where he goes if they do something together, like what that sounds like. Because very much here for the growth of this artist. And
please say the title of that track again. I know that's not how it's supposed to be pronounced.
I know it's not, so I'm not going to say it again. I'm not going to say it again.
Fire Happy Bun.
And just go check the Bandcamp. You can see it all there for you. I'm not going to say it again because I know people rip me for my accent on this podcast all the time. So before we dip into the next one, which I think is Ray's, let's see if anyone's got any more puns for us. Wild cover on the YUNGMORPHEUS record, says Jack P. Yeah, it is, and I have album artwork, but I think actually he's got one of the best music videos. I'm going to talk about that later. But there is a music video for that YUNGMORPHEUS drop, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed it, but it's not on the same level as Thumbing Through Foliage and States of Precarity. For me, says Jack P. Fair play. No, this again, his other projects are really good, but this one is the first one I think I put my 5 actually in a year so far. But Ray. What are we on now for you, my man? We're on number 3, are we, or number 4? Number 4 for you.
No, number 4. Right. Number 4. It's a short one. It's Crimeapple.
Okay.
Kilómetros. Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's a short thing, but it's just crime being crime. It's just this, I don't know, just that. And not all the beats have drums, so I've just gone back on everything that I keep saying.
Hold on a minute. This is like when you said Earl Sweatshirt dropped one of the best bars of the year last year, and I couldn't believe that you'd said Earl Sweatshirt has one of the best bars, only because I kind of lured you into it. This is the same feeling I have now. Love it. Love this.
Yeah. So, and I was going to say it's a shout for feature as well. Juggernaut on this is just. Because it's so I was listening, going for a walk, so I wasn't, looking at what to expect. So just playing it and let it happen, and then I had this moment of like, oh shit, Juggernauts! What? And this whole imagination of like, how have they met? What's going on? This is like, and then, but also the combination of the two on the same track, it's just fucking, it works. And Jugs' verse on that is beautiful as well. But just really enjoyed it. It's one that I kept going back to.
Nice. Okay. Anyone else got a Crimeapple on theirs? I haven't heard it, Ray. I have, this one slipped me by. I have not heard this. I don't even know what the album cover looks like. I need to check it out. Is it a long album? How long is it?
No, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tracks.
It's almost an EP then. That's an EP.
Yeah, well, don't tell me we're not taking EPs.
I've got a section for EPs. There's a EP
I think I treat an album anything over like 20 minutes at this point. I usually plus, but the caveat, I'll take their word for it. If it's a 30-minute EP, it's a 30-minute EP.
Okay.
But like, right. I don't like to be too fussy about it.
Okay, fair. Okay. Well, no, Crimeapple, that's a great shout. I haven't heard for a while, but there's been some bangers of the year playlists where Crimeapple's definitely got a few cuts on there every year, pretty much. So consistency. Anyone else got thoughts on Crimeapple's new album?
I need to check
I haven't
it
listened
out.
to this one now.
The last thing I heard from him, he did like a singing album with Muggs, and it completely confused and lost me. But now I'm checking his streaming, and he's got like 5 projects since then. So it's like, I clearly need to tap back in. But I was just so confused that it wasn't like singing. It was just, it was an all Spanish album, and I wanted to get into it.
Yes.
But it mostly reminded me that I suck at Spanish, and, I really wish I was better at learning languages because.
Yeah. So this one's English. He does flick into Spanish now and again, but
this is like a whole Spanish album that he'd done.
Right.
Cartagena was one of the ones that had come out, but I always go back to Pistachios. Pistachios is one of my favorite fucking cuts that he's done. It's so good. But yeah, okay. So, Rohan, anything to say before we move on Crimeapple?
No, I think he's solid, but I haven't been a major fan. I like some of his projects from a couple years ago. I don't remember the names, like Aguidente. There's something named something similar.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I don't know how much else to say. He's solid though.
Fair. Okay. So let's have a look at this. Ninjas Rose. August Fan is one of the best hip hop producers alive. I'd add Kenny Segal to that also. I cannot argue really with that at all.
Mm-hmm.
August out there doing his thing, man, for a while now as well. So Shell, how many we got here? Ray, I'm on my top 3. Ray's on his top 3. SonRaw, how many you got left?
3.
I got 3 too.
Okay, SonRaw, let's go to you, my man. What have you got next in your 3rd spot?
All right, this is going to be my curveball pick. I have a feeling. I have RXK Nephew, Till I'm Dead.
Oh, wow.
RXK
I love that album.
Okay.
I am a big RXK Nephew fan. Like American Terrorist was one of my favorite tracks a couple of years ago, like half the internet. But I'm also an album guy. And until this point, he was very much not an album artist. He was a randomly dropped 5 tracks on YouTube kind of artist. Mm-hmm. And so that always kind of limited, not even my appreciation, just how much I heard, because that's not how I consume music. And, fair play, there's a lot of different ways to get to music. But when he dropped this one, I was into it. And then half of the beats are dance tracks. And I am a big lover of dance music, jungle, house, garage, going to grime and all that. And it has this like kind of Midwest Rust Belt feeling where like a lot of like ghetto tech and like early like house has that vibe to it. But he's just saying like these absolutely insane things. And I just really like it. I'm contrasting that to the one he just dropped last week with Rude One, where, shouts out to him. Like, I'm sure anyone would want a project, but I don't want to hear RXK Nephew on slow boom bap. Like, that did not work at all for me. That's not his lane. That's not real. Like, I want to hear that as much as I want to hear like a Conway dance track. It's not at all for me. But this one, it's up tempo. It's fun. It's wild. It's like, listening to a madman, like similarly to Knack, actually, where, there's a through line to there where it's just like high energy rhyming and saying the unexpected over the unexpected. Even though the records are totally different, it has that kind of through line to it. And yeah, I mean, I'm just a fan of just like absolute, like he has one line on it where he's like, I'll diss you at the BET Awards. I'll diss you at the MTV Awards. I'll diss you at the Oscars. And then he just cuts. He's like, I highly doubt I'll ever win an Oscar.
That bit is great.
Just unique brains. He kind of reminds me on the UK side of Wiley, who would just have these one-liners where he'd go like, your mom's got athlete's foot. And I'm like, what kind of a diss is that? That's just nuts. Yeah. So that's where I'm coming from.
Interesting. Yeah. An artist I'm not that much up on. And then when I hear this, I was just like, what is going on? In fact, he made my verse of the year contenders. He's in there as a contender because there's one song where I'm like, this isn't allowed, is it? Him just doing this? Is he? Is this? Oh, right. We are just doing this now. And yeah, I kind of like that when someone just takes your hand and just throws you fully into the mosh pit of their kind of world, where I'm just like swirling around the whirlwind. Like, I'm like, what is going on here? So yeah, no, I appreciate that you brought this one. Anyone else got anything on RXK Nephew on the latest drop?
I really like this album. I feel the exact same as SonRaw, which is that I'm an album guy. So I only really got up on him last year, but I liked what I heard. I thought it was super unique, but like, he didn't have that definitive album, because I would ask people like, what's the album? And they're like, oh, he doesn't really. And I'm like, already like, okay, I'm so close to not listening anymore because I don't have time to be listening to YouTube. I hate that app. It's fucking in the States, you guys, and I don't know if in the UK, you guys can actually stream when you're out of the app. I learned when I was in New York without paying for premium, but I'm not doing that shit in Canada.
I didn't even know they could do that.
No, it did it automatically. And I thought they updated it and then went back to Toronto, and then it was again, it stops. But anyways, that aside, I do like this album quite a bit because it was like, I think his most complete, like actually flows like an album, and he's so fucking fun. I would say that if this is one of your verse of the year, I don't know what song you're referring to, but if you had a verse of the year here, wait till the end of the year. Because he has a verse on a certain Backwoods record This has been announced, so I'm not spoiling.
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, the Blockhead album. He's been announced as a feature. I had a chance to hear
Blockhead's the guy who got me into him because he's such a fan, like from early.
Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't know he like talks about him.
Oh, he was on his Twitter. Like I mean, I think I heard of him before, but really early on, he was on Twitter saying like, "You have to listen to this guy. This man is insane."
And man, they made like truly like I heard it once, but it was like fucking some fan like insane. He went the fuck off. The beat is insane. Never heard like one of the best Blockhead beats ever heard.
Okay.
So just keep an eye out for that. That's supposed to drop this year, this album. So
look at that. Hearing some exclusive little shit there. That's brilliant. These gems. I love that. Ray, have you heard any of this album or any? I'd love to hear what you think of this guy.
I mean, it's a crazy album. It's all over the place. A lot of the tunes are dance. I think it's got a danger of falling in the best least hip hop album category, is what you're saying, because there's a lot of it is like, look, it's got the Ready to Die reference on the cover, and you're like, all right, cool, let's go in. And you're like, this is
Ready to Die. He's lulling you. He's lulling you into a false sense of security. But that's the nature of the fun aspect, which is just like, yeah, come, no, you're here now. Close the door behind you. We're going in. And you're like, oh shit, yeah. No, I do get it. And to be fair, it's one of them ones that I didn't get it was just too much the first listen. It took a listen or two to really get like, oh, okay, this is the kind of, because again, not really heard much of this artist, so it was like kind of new to me. I might have heard
I haven't either
songs, but yeah, didn't know much. I think this feels like it's a bit more of a big release for him. Just in my radar, it feels like. Great choice there, SonRaw. What have we got next then? Rohan, what have you got next, my man? You're in your third, is this one number three?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, number 3, I got Parthian Shots by AJ Suede and Televangel.
Let's go.
This is their follow-up. So this actually, they dropped Metatron's Cube as their first collab album last year, which I really love.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they outdid it with this album on every level. Production, I think, is just even better. I think it's like there's this really cool way. I don't do this anymore, but I did do these written pieces on the website for a while. But one of them was on Metatron's Cube, and Televangel was describing his style of being like, he was trying to bring like gritty kind of boom bap textures, but with like his Blue Slide Black Death background, like those atmospheric ambient almost type production, but still very hip hop. And this is very hip hop, but it's like really, it's like he takes off all the high end of all the sound, so it's just really like muffled and really fucking cool and moody. And Suede's just become just really leveled up as a lyricist even more than he has been. So many good quotables, so many good verses. There's really good features. There's one of them that is my feature of the year contender on this. And yeah, I think they just fucking killed this. Like, this is phenomenal record. Like, very worthy of the spot.
I have this written down. This is my number 6. Just edging out Little Yachty, which we're going to talk about in a bit. But this is, I have just immaculate hip hop. It just is immaculate fucking hip hop. This is, I disagree that I do think Metatron's Cube is better. Metatron's Cube ended up being in my 5 last year, and I still play it now. And on vinyl, it sounds so good. Like, it's amazingly well built. Like, proper hip hop that is, what's the word for when it can withstand some weathering? You know, when it's like a robust album. Like, you know, if you were just to chuck stuff at this for like 10, 20 years, it'll still sound this good. After having 30 years of hip hop behind me as a listener, I now know this is going to definitely stand the test of time for me. Definitely. And yeah, I'm so glad you picked this, because I didn't get to put it in my 5, but it's, yeah, just absolutely beautiful album. Anybody else got any shouts on and one of the album artworks of the year as well is this as well? I would put that. Anyone on this for Televangel and AJ Suede? Any more love from anyone?
It's dope. I'm still a 100-Year Darkness guy in terms of my absolute favorite AJ Suede, but this one's really good. It's another album where I'm like, man, like, you're naming them, and I always remember that I like them. I'm like, I gotta give that album some more time. I feel that this year, weirdly enough, I'm listening to less music for longer, not on purpose. It just kind of worked out that way. But that's not anything against the artist. There's so much good music coming out too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Ray, have you heard this album? You liked Metatron's Cube, didn't you, last year? Was it?
Yeah. So I think as well with the more crazy and experimental that all these artists get, and I find there's a lot of this is quite is experimental. Let's use that word for now. But the more I'm getting stricter and stricter with my rules of like, just give me a 4/4 boom bap beat, and
it's making you go the other way. Yes.
Yeah, and my next album choices have that, so we'll get to that. But yeah, but also there's like Groundwork and PBS Kids. Those tunes. I mean, they're very different tunes, but they're sick. So, that's the thing. Is like there's a lot of it that I'm like, nah, not for me. But then you hear something, you're like, oh shit, this is the one. Yeah. So there's some beautiful music on this album.
They seem to have this way of making quite big, long projects, but just so consistent. Like I know you said there's some that aren't for you and some that are, but no matter what, even on the first listen for this, I was like, oh my God, how many have I got to rewind here? Like Mount Doom, first few songs like, yeah, but these other songs, are even better. But Mount Doom is just one of my own slept on songs. After a while, I was like, holy fuck, this is brilliant. This is amazing. And Holy Moly, there's another one. I use Holy Moly on a regular basis. So to see it as a song title, I was like, oh, brilliant. The Britishness coming through here. Holy moly. And yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the feature that I also have on my list as well.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I find the difference between Metatron's Cube and this one is that there's shorter tracks. I think it's maybe roughly the same length, but it's at least 4 tracks longer, maybe 5.
I think so.
And that's usually my favorite style. It doesn't mean like they're really neither's better or worse, but I kind of like if you can pull off the 2.5 minute to 3 minute type tracks and just make that flow, because I love the variety and the kind of rhythm.
Yes. Whereas
Metatron's, I think, is only 12 tracks, 13 tracks. And I just kind of prefer that style a little bit more.
Do you know what? That's true. I think Metatron's Cube is I can swim in this for hours. It's like a proper, you're basking it, whereas this one keeps you going like differently. And that's I like that about Televangel as well. I think just his beats, I can't wait to see what
he's having in a crazy run.
Crazy
run this last year.
Yeah, absolutely amazing just to see the come up. It's absolutely great. So who is next? It's me, I think. Then on my third one, well, before we jump into my third one, let's have a quick look at anyone else who's got what they're saying. Oh, you just reminded me of talking of Blockhead. I saw Billy Woods live 10 days ago. Wow. But he announced Arm & Hammer dropping in the fall and Billy and Blockhead dropping end of the year. News just in, maybe some of us knew this. I did not know I know Arm & Hammer was coming, but I didn't know the Blockhead thing was coming by the end of the year. So, wow, his year is going to be crazy. I've never heard an album described as robust. But there you go. That's what we're here for, to give you.
Wait. Hold up 1 second. What do you mean Billy and Blockhead are dropping in the end of the year? Like a collab album?
Yeah. Dropping in the fall and Billy and Blockhead dropping end of the year.
I've heard different. I heard that it was the Blockhead album that Rohan was.
So you know what though? Like actually, I think maybe. Okay, so when I spoke to Woods like on the show, he said that people are calling it almost a collab album, because I think he's on the album a lot. Like Billy Woods is featured. I think like a what? I don't know. I haven't heard the album, but like a lot. So maybe that's what you mean, because I have not heard of a solo coming out. But maybe this is a surprise that he told him in person. I don't fucking know, man.
Yeah, well, this is what I mean. Well, maybe
Blockhead has a producer album with features like that's definite though. That's definite. Maybe there's a collab.
Interesting. Again, we've got the end of the year summary to do all that as well. This is Woods is going to feature heavily, of course. But Oz, Groundwork is incredible. That beat has that alternative boom bap quality that Rohan described. Yes, exactly. Oh God, Oz has just cottoned on to my usual thing I always say is, and I was like, wow. That's just the way I am. I talk like that, and I say that saying a lot. And I'll probably say it again for my number 3 pick. They're doing it in the chat. It's going to be my number 3 pick. Is just my favorite hip hop to listen to, I suppose. Is Mach-Hommy is back again. Mac and God Fahim, the God Fahim, Notorious Dump Legends Volume 2. Yeah, I think it's just one of them albums where I was like, I've just heard this over. It's not a very long project, so just over and over again, and got so much. I think it came out early as well, and I think it's just the enjoyment I found in the unpredictability, the devotion to their kind of craft of rhyming, the sheer chemistry of these two now is just different. Like, it's just different. There's I know people go out there and call Fahim the sidekick, and I do get that, and I do understand why people might say that. But I also think that just isn't the case. I think they have their own equal footing on an album like this. And Fahim is dropping bars. Yes, he sounds like Cormega, but it is, oh shit, like I'm remembering that a lot. And yeah, just very, very pleasurable hip-hop in a year when my life has demanded that. And a lot of my favourite music, I suppose now, has been about release and releasing a lot of that feeling of art through art. And this is just getting me excited. And when I'm hearing a bar and I'm going Screwface and going, hold on, what the fuck, rah, rah, it just takes me out of life. And I'm like, shit, this is what I'm talking about. And I haven't got him on this list because he has dropped an EP this year, not an album. But Nicholas Craven is probably one of him and Conductor Williams, probably my favourite producers like out there at the moment. And Cole Milk, like, what the fuck, man? The horns on that, soul shaking to me, and that first verse is just so epic when he says, what's Max say here? Fucking hell. Can't say I need a win without 2 losses for you. 2 L's make a dub, and it's Cold Milk, blah, blah, blah. I was like, hold on, what? So at first I was just taking it like the old, I ain't going to take the win. I need 2 losses for you. And it's like, yeah, shit, that's heavy. That's a, hard bar. And it's like, no, 2 losses, 2 L's, they make a dub, and that makes a win. So, oh my God, this guy. And I didn't cotton on to that line for fucking ages. And this is what I love about Mac is I'll hear something over and over and over again, and I just don't know what it means after a while. Then I'm like, oh shit, I get it now. And Bad Hands, I think that's Craven on that as well. And I talked a little bit there about Yachty. I'm amazed I've got through almost 2 hours of this episode and not talked about one of my favourite albums of this year, which is Little Yachty. And I was saying to you, SonRaw, I was thinking like, I can't put this in a 5, can I? I can't put this in my 5. But he has a lot of earworms on that album. But this Dump Legends has earworms all day through it, and that hook on Bad Hands is right up there for me. Can we make you comfortable, King? All that shit, amazing. And we're doing donuts with somebody's A6. None of this belong on page 6. It's like, yeah, motherfuckers, this does not belong on page 6. So yeah, no, Elijah one. Oh my God, Sadhu Gold on that as well. I don't want to go into every song, but Jesus Christ, Nandezo as well, which is just like, Denmark Vesey, what are you doing on this beat? Like, this is the strangest shit.
Don't call it a beat.
Hey?
Don't call it a beat. Don't call it a beat. There's no fucking beats on the whole fucking album.
What are you doing on this transfixed? Like, you're transfixing me on this sonic landscape, which isn't a beat. There we go. And just one more line before I go to you guys. I ride tortoises. Your harebrained schemes are cacophonous. He rides tortoises. I don't know what this means, but I love it. And him using cacophonous, just willy-nilly. Please give this man all your applause. Yes, please. Fucking amazing. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know if anyone has any thoughts apart from Ray on Notorious Up Legends, but I'm not going to go to negativity straight away. I'm going to go to the other two first.
No, it's not negativity. I got to say, as much as there's no fucking drums, but I mean, there's minimal. And so good. There's
oh my God, what
there's just something about it is when it comes on, you can't not enjoy it.
That first verse, bro.
You can't.
Mad.
Yeah.
He's got this confidence, mate, and now we're just doing Mac now. We're just going to do an hour of Mac. Sorry, guys. Put all your other episodes away. I just want to talk about Mac. But seriously, how can you just seamlessly flow into Creole, into accents, into singing, into melody, and pull it off almost every time? Like, I know Pray for Haiti is just, to me, it's a classic. People have shot me down for this, but I know it is for me. It's just going to be one of my favourite albums ever. And on this, he has them moments where I'm just like, yeah, I don't know why, how he does it. I just don't get it on such wonky production sometimes, where I'm like, how is he doing it all over all these? But yeah, I will step back now. If anyone else has anything to say on,
this was tied with me for number 6. It was like a very close runner up. It just reminds me of being in very fancy malls while I was on vacation. I was just like one of those albums that I played constantly one of the things I really appreciate about Mac is like you almost have like 2 tiers of Mac albums where it's like he'll do the Pray for Hades or the HBOs or like the one that's coming out like next, Rich Assassination, where they're like these prestige albums that have like, you know, just these very big themes. But then he'll also like just drop these tapes with Fahim. And I love, like, I've grown to just love Fahim. It's like one of those things where it's like,
me too.
I have to type into the wave to really get it. It takes a little minute, but it's the perfect compliment. And they're just like, they're tapes, like they're what you would have called mixtapes back in the day. They're just like feeding the streets. It's just battle rhymes or shit talk or like boasting. But what I like about it is that usually rappers would get to a point and they don't want to do those anymore. And they're like, oh no, now all of my albums have to be really serious and I'm going to drop once a year, once every 2 years. And like every song has to be this because like I'm a serious artist. And they don't do that. They're like, no, we're going to just drop like these absurdly priced EPs or this one will just go on streaming. And like those have value too. Like as a rap fan, I don't need every project to be like your deep project. Sometimes I just want to hear rap, especially when you're as good at rapping as Mach is.
Yes.
Like I always say that my version, my 2023 version of Biggie, Jay-Z or Nas is like Mach, Billy, Boldy. Those are my 3 favorite rappers right now. So anything they're going to drop, I'm going to check.
Yeah.
But, you know, this one was, you know, it's like we're saying, is it an album? Is it an EP? Is it a mixtape? It's a little shorter. It's good rap music to me. Like it's just rhyming over craziness. And I'm not even going to quote lines because you said a bunch, but you know, enough said.
There's one line that's hit me so hard where I can't remember who it is. I think it is Mac who says, sometimes the hardest thing in life you'll do is move on.
Yeah.
And if I think about that too much, I'm like, fucking hell. Like even then, a mixtape, we're just feeding the streets. You're dropping me something that's just like, yeah, you're fucking right. That is sometimes the hardest thing you do is move on. And I'm so glad that you said that. I echo everything you said there, SonRaw. Rohan, any thoughts on the Mac and Fahim for you this year?
I didn't listen to it. And I'm like, as you were mentioning it, I'm like, I don't even know why I didn't listen to it because I forgot it dropped. I was Googling the cover and I'm like, I don't even remember this dropped. And I don't know the reason. I heard Dollar Menu 4 last year.
That was last year, yeah. A few bangers on that.
Yeah, I liked the project. I'm sure I'll like this too. I do like Fahim. I do think he's good. I don't think he's like amazing, but I do think he's good. I'm not a hater at all. So I'm just looking forward to hearing it. Sounds like it was good.
Nice, man. Yeah, wicked. Definitely. So before we go into number 2s and 1s, let's have a look what we got here. Maybe it's my maturity, but the whole dump theme makes me laugh, says Oz. Yeah, they are taking a dump. Referring to yourself as Dump Lord or Dump Legend is something. You're right, it is. The Nandiza beat is unsettling as hell, says Jack P. Yeah, it really, really is. Gabe Nandez's Pangea, thank you for bringing that up. It is on my honorable mentions. It's a great project, says Oz. What a fucking, that's just different hip hop to me. Like he's got the low end of his music on top of them rhyming. Gabe Nandez is sick, absolutely. So yeah, big up. Pangea is great, says Rohan. Absolutely, you're in there on the chat, fair play to you. So number 2s and 1s then. Number 2 for number 3 for Ray. No. Number 3 for Ray. Yeah. Sorry, of course. There's my maths getting it wrong. Ray, you're number 3, mate. What you got?
You know, all this like going through in the prep for an episode such as this, like the realization that there's not enough time in life to listen to all the music that's
there isn't
out there. Do you know what I mean?
No.
I'm like realizing I started this episode with like putting together, I got to listen to that. Oh, I've got to listen to that. Of course, the Inevitable 3, and then slowly realizing, oh shit, this is not enough.
Yeah,
there's just not enough time. Which is it's a beautiful time to be alive.
That's why we're here to curate, though, mate. We get the rap aficionados to curate your listening experience. There you go.
So hopefully, my next one will be in addition to anyone's. Glorious Game.
What an album.
Good choice.
Yeah, it's just it's just a top 5 rapper doing top 5 shit. And really but then I know I've gone about I just want boom bap beats and just a nice sample, give me a primo beat. Yeah. There's that. But then this is it's just beautiful music, isn't it? It's just with the live band shit. It's just I don't know if it's the right way of describing it, but it's just there's something about like I know a lot of people will say about Black Thought, it's just like this. It's too much to take in. When you talk about, I've got a verse of the year, like every verse on the Black Thought puts out is a contender, because it's like, it's just such a high standard, reliable all the time, and you can't. All right, we'll just put that to one side. And so if people only had, given that there's not enough time to listen to all music, the standout track for me was Protocol is the one on that. But I mean, it's just there's a tune on there called The Weather where the BPM changes during it. And
I love that.
I mean, that
one's crazy.
He speeds up and slows down with it. It's just it's a beautiful album.
I think in time we're going to realise that the L. Michaels Affair production on this is probably some of the best Black Thought's ever done. Honestly, like he's dropped quite a few. I think this production, and for the first time in a minute, I've heard Thought, and it wasn't too much. It sounded like I was getting it the right amount, if you know what I mean. Yet it's heavier and more heady life themes he's talking about, like Alter Ego. It's a fucking brilliant song. His verse on that is one of the verses of the year for me. And that kind of music that moves you, but Black Milk doing it in his, just classy. This is such a classy album as well. Everything about it just oozes it. And I just absolutely love this. And it could well be in my top 5 but coming the end of the year, because I have been listening to it a lot. The production is absolutely sick. Anybody else got any thoughts on this glorious game by Thought and L. Michaels?
I'm going to shout myself out. I have a review of it, A Passion of the Weiss. I love it a lot. And I spoke about it on supporter Free Music Empires podcast.
Boom.
So I'm not going to repeat myself, but if you do want to hear about it, check those things out.
Okay, cool. Nice. Absolutely. Rohan?
I think it was a great album. Didn't make my 5, but it's I think this and Cheat Codes are 2 of the best solo records he did, other than I think Streams of Thought 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the one that was produced by Salam Remy.
Yeah.
Remy. That one was I think that was previously my favorite solo one. I don't think I've loved all his solo records, but this one was definitely impressive. Like,
really this one is so much more than Cheat Codes too. I thought that the way the band kind of got out of his way on this one really helped. Like, it's not like the beats were minimal, but it had like a little bit less of those like psychedelic flourishes.
Yeah, that's true.
Let me focus on Thought, which was what I want out of a Black Thought album.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like he's growing with these lyrics though on this album. I don't know. It feels like he's moving into a next phase of his kind of lyricism, which is really nice to see. Like, he's growing and telling us how it feels to do it all. And it's not the same old shit. It is like new things that he's bringing up. So yeah, no, absolutely. Love the album. Good choice, Ray. Absolutely. Great choice. Number 2 for you then, SonRaw. What have we got, my friend?
So you're going to figure out what it is. I believe we should probably skip my number 2 because I have a very good feeling it's going to be people's number 1.
Okay, right. So we'll leave maps till later.
Okay. You know what we're talking about. That's my number 2. And I will give a reason. I've been thinking about this for a while, why it's my number 2 and not my number 1. And I had a little bit of agony around it, but let's just skip it. And
Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay, let's go to your number 2 then, Rohan. What's your number 2?
So mine, this is a very hard album to categorize, and I was not sure if it was going to be too hip hop enough, but I do think there's enough hip hop blended with its like neo soul styles to count it, because there's pretty much always a rap verse most of the time, and that's B Kool-Aid's Leather Boulevard. So that's B Kool-Aid's Pink Siifu and Ahwlee. Man, I fucking love this album. I love this album so much. It's another follow-up album. I feel like a lot of my lists so far have been like follow-up collabs. So this is their second collab album. And yeah, it's just unbelievably romantic, beautiful, soulful production, like really, really good jazz rap production with like very much like something you could hear from like the Soulquarians movement. And yeah, I just really like how there's Siifu's usual styles that some may not like, but I've really grown to love. Both as a vocalist, but also as a rapper. And then there's these like chorus of like multiple voices that supply vocals throughout, like Liv, Giametta Rose, some other person, VCR, and they're kind of just like, when you look at the feature list, you're like, oh, this is like a million features, but they're all like just doing mostly background vocals other than a few actual guest verses. So it doesn't really feel messy at all. I think Siifu through this album has shown not West Side Gun, but I think Siifu is the underground's premier like orchestrator of talent and sound. I think he's like an underground Kanye in that way. And I mean that in a positive way, because I don't know anybody in mainstream music that's been better at curating and then getting the best out of a feature and then putting them in a spot where it works, even if they're not even that good of a fucking artist. Like, he's done that many times, and I think Siifu has done that routinely, and this is like his magnum opus with Ahwlee. Like, this is just fucking phenomenal, and it hit me again context at a really good time. This was the drop the same day as the Larry June Alchemist album, so I think it was March 31st. It was like the very beginning of me meeting my now girlfriend, so it was perfect.
Brilliant. Perfect. It does work on that level, absolutely.
Yeah.
Before I go to it else, Can't Go Back. That song is one of the songs of the year. Can't Go Back, Tell Me is just
sound good. Oh, and for like the rap fans on this listening to this, the Brandy and Aaliyah that has about 4 verses from like Denmark Vesey. Quelle is on that, and then some other dude I never heard of, but who probably has my favorite verse on it, and it's just beefy beat, just fucking great.
Yeah,
great.
Absolutely. No, there's a real moment on that album where you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna have to rewind that. But you're right. There's this. It's quite long as well, right? There are some like songs that like go 5, 6, 7.
It's like an hour, 6 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that.
Which is different, really, because it feels so. Trying to think of a word that's not cohesive, consistent. It's so consistent. If you know what I mean, like it feels like, oh shit, you really thought about. It's very well thought out album. Yeah, absolutely.
There's 3 big Rube spoken word moments, and they're like, I think he got the best big Rube part I've ever heard on. What's that fucking song? It's in the middle of the album. He has this verse where it's just like actually like breathtaking, the way he's describing like meeting a girl, and he's like I could fools what it's called, I'm looking at it, Fools LSA. He has so many verses where I'm just like, actually, as we're talking, I'm gonna stop talking, I'm gonna try to find that so I can quote it later.
No worries, that's all good.
But great project.
Okay. Ray, heard this album or SonRaw?
I did. I liked it a lot. I kind of also in the same category as Navy Blue, where I was playing those two like quite like as much. Like I don't think I have too much more to add. I wasn't in Young Love as I was listening to it, so maybe that side of it didn't. It actually dropped it like towards the end of my vacation when I hadn't seen my girl in 2 months, and I'd been very faithful the whole trip, for the record, so I wasn't in the same zone, but they're really dope. Pink Siifu is a really, really good rapper, a really good curator, as Rohan mentioned. And yeah, it's just vibes. It's got those like kind of underwater roadsy sounds to it. Like Soulquarians is a good touch point. Like I feel they intentionally touched on that, and I think it's cool that sound, like I would like to hear it have a little bit of a resurgence, just because like it hasn't been touched on as much in recent years, and like I'm like, oh yeah, that's due for a comeback. Like that was a good, and even at the time I remember the Soulquarians, they drop one project like that, and then they'd kind of do something like Mos Def would do something really weird after, a Common would do Electric Circus after, and I'm like, no, you guys didn't have to run away from that sound. That was a good sound. So to have its place in the musical constellation, so to speak.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Very turn of the century hip hop at times. Like you think, oh yeah, I do remember hearing this. A lot of people just jamming out and just going into other areas. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's a really good way to put it. Ray, have you heard Leather Boulevard? It's Leather Boulevard, isn't it? That's what it's called. Sorry.
Yeah, it's Leather Boulevard.
Yeah. No, I listened through to it. It's it's inoffensive, and it's a bit too singy to me. It's kind of
the hip hop,
soft singy.
Is it hip hop?
Yeah. It's not like I want to fuck it. It's a sick beat with some heavy rhymes.
But you say that
I just want to get to my album choices, but it's fine. It's good.
But you say that, but Can't Go Back is that. can't go back. It's a journey of a song, but there is a large section of that song, which is that, where you're like, oh shit, this is just proper jazz, hip hop, bang, bang, I'm in. So they have these moments, but yeah, I feel you. I feel you. I
think the album
we can't get back as well. It's not like, sorry to interrupt you, but it's not like, no, I talked about 4/4 boom bap beats. It's not, we're in this world of like experimental. Oh, there's no rules. Throw the rules away. Let's just do it. And maybe that's fine. But I'm an old man. It's a 90s hip hop podcast. We got to obey some rules. Yes, that's just where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
I get that. I think the album is really it's if you need the structure and you need that like basic kind of like traditional sense, like this album is frustrating. Not even just because it's not like that for a lot of the album, but it also like the way they structure songs, like often they don't even have it sound the exact same. Like there'll be a weird interlude. Like it's really an album that you need to invest and just accept it. Like, this will be like a weird ambient piece for 4 minutes, which I love, produced by Mind Design, where it's like women talking. Yes. And there's like this beautiful, but it's like, this is not what I thought. And this is not like, it's not an album where you play like songs is the point. Like there's a couple, but really, really not much. Yeah.
All those moments you could apply to Little Yachty this year. All those things. I'm not going to stop bringing him up. I don't even like him as an artist that much, but this year, what Rohan's just said, I can apply exactly to his album. But
just say, if we had a worst artwork ever, it's that shit. Because that shit fucking creeped me out. And everybody was talking about it on social media. And I'm like, creepy. Can you stop posting the artwork? This is so weird. I don't like this fucking artwork.
It's got like an Aphex Twin, like a brace.
It's like an Aphex Twin shit. I don't like it. The face is weird.
I know. It really doesn't reflect the album as well. It's amazing. So we've got that. So Ray, what have you got then, my man, at number 2?
So, and just a little segue. So, I said before about there's not enough time in life to listen to all music. There's also certain artists that I put on the list of I'm not fucking wasting my time listening to, and Lil Yachty is one of them. Anyway, next we'll move on.
I love you have these lists.
Yeah, so number 2, Jesus, I've been juggling that these one and two, but these 1 and 2 are both the same. It's all the same producer, Static Selector. Just rewarding my patience with all the rest of the stuff I've had to listen to.
So which one's number 2? Static Selector.
Static doing what he does. You know what? I'm just going to go. Jesus, I've been saying, Code to the. He hasn't changed his name, has he? I've been saying Code to the Fiend. I've been saying Code of the Fiend for a long time.
The Fiend?
Maybe I just misspelled it.
Isn't it always been Code of the Friend?
It has. Just
no, it's Code of the Friend. Yeah. Well, I missed out the R, and I've been saying Code of the Fiend for a while.
Two opposite things. Not even slightly.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know too many fiends with codes neither. They'll just
True. Code of the Friend.
But yeah, so to see a sunset is just a fucking incredible album. There's stuff on here. It's just right up. It's just right on my street. There's a tune called "Free Not Woke," which just says what all sensible people think about what happens on Twitter and stuff. I don't know how much people care about that, but it's hard to pick out standout tracks because they're just all, and there's beats. There's like it's just that rewarding. Like this, it's Static doing what he does. Fucking hell. Let me go through. What do you reckon, Ken?
I've heard this. Ray's done this to me last year, where he'll bring an album I've not really heard, and I just end up thinking, shit, this is. So you brought OK Nice last year to me, and OK Nice is
oh shit, so OK Nice good. Is dope. Yeah,
and I'd not heard that album before, and I fell in love with that album, and I was like, Ray, how the fuck did you hide this from me? And this Coat of the Friend, I have heard Coat quite a few times, and enjoy, yes, absolutely. I think even some verses of the year at some points we put them on, but
yeah, so that's it. The way he rhymes exactly similar to what I said about 38 Spesh, and maybe it's just a sign of exactly what I'm into. Clearly, he just rhymes exactly how he just rhymes how I want people to rhyme. You know, like you're listening to him, and the rhyme comes where you expect the rhyme to come, and then it comes, and you're like, yes, yeah, that's it. This is exactly. I don't know, in a discernible kind of pattern. There's tunes on here like so from the outset, brick by brick, the beat. just the beat, it immediately I'm like, this is me. I'm done. This is it. Cool. The top 5 is this album times 5. Done. But so that was my mentality when I first started listening to it. And High Noon is with the soul sample. It's just, and it's cruising in your car music as well, which is kind of what the album cover kind of leads you to as well.
Kind of joyous though, isn't it? Like it's a life. He talks about life a lot, and also kind of celebratory as well as, like, you know, some of the dark shit as well.
It's an upbeat vibe kind of thing. Yeah.
And
so the cover as well is a shout for cover of the year as well. I just think of like album covers that would I have that on a t-shirt, and that's how I kind of
it's a good metrics.
You know, album covers aren't made for t-shirts though, right? They're made.
It should be there. It should be there, shouldn't it? It's an obvious merchandise opportunity, isn't it?
You're right, and everything should be about merchandise. You're right, exactly. That what
you got to put food on the table.
music, capitalism. That's what we need, isn't it? We haven't got enough of that nowadays. But I like the fact that Static's out there doing his thing, bringing some of these projects and delivering, like, absolutely. And yeah, very good album. Anyone else heard this album or any thoughts on it?
I have not heard of it. I like Static. Never been like my favorite producer, but I've always liked him. I think he's never whack ever. But Coda the Friend, I have honestly, like, I'm sure I've heard his music, but I can't really even tell you 100%. I know I've heard it, but I don't have any comment on it. I should check it out, I guess.
Interesting. SonRaw?
Yeah.
100%.
I got stuff to say about Round Trip, but we're doing that at number 1, right?
Oh, right. There we go. We are doing
my
that.
bad. I thought that you said it earlier when you said.
No, he did. He kind of said it.
Yeah.
He's kind of said it.
Yeah, he said
it.
He said
1 and 2 is all Static. So
I know why.
No, but I should check the Coda of the Friend, because I did. We'll get into it, but I did like the production a lot on Round Trip. So
okay, interesting. Let's go into the chat then quickly. Ninja Rose, I have a real admiration for how set in your ways you are, Ray. There you go. Someone's admiring you for that. And my number 2, Kale Problems, A Flower Blooms in May. Ninja Rose, I love you, man. I don't know who that is. I haven't heard it. Anyone heard it?
I don't know. But
wait, what? No, I haven't.
Kale Problems, A Flower Blooms in May. Okay, I need to check this. Thank you, Ninja Rose. Please break down why we should hear that. It's your number 2, so it must be good. Oz, I feel like Televangel and Kenny Segal make the perfect type of beats for me in 2023. Drums, having a structure, but permission to get weird within that structure. Sounds like a middle ground, and I'm not here for middle grounds. I'm here for go for one or the other. I'm not here for the middle ground, Oz. Oz, I like Coda the Friend and Static. In fact, his Lyrics to Go series has been good, albeit short. Fair play. I thought Coda might be a little Lorem Ipsum for Ray.
Yeah, interesting. That's such a funny fucking term. That's hilarious.
That's what Ray once labelled navy blue as Laura Ipsum rap to me.
What?
Yeah.
And
I think you could say that potentially for the latest album, to be honest. It's like Lorem Ipsum in a way for him, where it's just very God, be spiritual, meditate, eat well. I think that's why I didn't like the album as much. I think he didn't. Lyrically, it was a little bland for him. Like, it was like kind of his like boilerplate navy blue shit, where I'm like, you've done better, I think. You know.
Yeah. What we say, SonRaw?
I was saying that's how he always came off. Maybe it's because I wasn't careful enough listener on his older projects, but that was always the vibe I got from him, like for better or for worse, because I think he actually does it really, really well. But I was always like, oh, okay, you're the new Common. Like, that was like kind of my always been my take.
But I think like with Common too, like I love Common.
I love Common.
I think he's actually like underrated now because of, I don't know, he's just kind of never gets the love, I feel. But Common though has albums where I'm like, yeah, you're doing your Lorem Ipsum version of Common, where it's like you're just saying like, be nice to people. You know, it's just like, it's like, okay, it's boring. You're not putting like the sauce on it to make it unique and interesting for this album, where he definitely does that on many fucking projects, too many to name. And I think Navy Blue has done that, but I think he kind of slipped a bit on this new album.
I think in both cases, for me, it has less to do with him and more like, am I in the mood to listen to this at this moment? Because it's like, it's not my everyday, like I can wake up and listen to like Wu-Tang or Arm & Hammer or Griselda, like aggressive stuff anytime. I can listen to straight R&B anytime. Like that kind of falls in this middle ground where I'm like, I'd rather listen to the Be Kool-Aid type of music. I'm listening to it maybe more for the music than for the positivity in the lyrics, I guess.
I feel you. I feel you.
Okay. Well, there you go. Go out there, use Law Ipsum Rapper anytime you want, guys. Just credit Ray. So there we go. But so my number 2 then, let's do this. Loophole alert. I usually do this. This was released actually December the 23rd of 2022. So technically it is a 20
discount it. All right, let's go to the next one.
But I think that I want to talk about it because I think last year we had Magic from Nas, and that was a year old, and we let that fly. So I think it's just been basically my favorite album for the last year, apart from one other, and that's Beware of the Monkey by Mike. So I know a few people got a few reviews out in January for it. It got very well reviewed. It's a bit of a turn for Mike as well. Disco was just amazing. The stuff he's done, just the stuff he's been on a bit of a level, I think, like coming into my kind of just rotation heavier and heavier. And to put him on this, where what's his producer alias? Black Power, is it? Something DJ Black Power?
DJ Black Power.
That's it, right? And to see some of the stuff he's doing on here, where I use the word luxurious a few times and luscious, opulent, beautiful hip hop. Like it just, for me, you're tapping into that kind of well of electro 80s, 90s. You got some features on here where I'm like, how the hell have you got, some of these features that are just working really well. And for a guy who usually, I would say, dwells in the darkness sometimes, maybe in some of his music, but it's turned that page to see him delivering something, and I've just go about reading about Mike because he sounds like quite an interesting person. So he lost his mum, and having him lost his mum and just making that path to be revitalized on an album, it just sounds something that really helps pull me through when I listen to him. And I'm like, holy shit, like this guy sounds like he's really, you can say, oh no, I'm getting better, but he sounds in the music he's making as well as the rhyming, and just, yeah, I just don't really hear much of it in anywhere else. And just what a producer as well. So yeah, just the singing on here sometimes is great. Nothing I Can Do Is Wrong. What a fucking song that is. When he's
love that
is just big Mike. It's just big fucking Mike. Like, I don't know. He's just fun. He's coming out, and I know I've heard people say you can't understand what he's saying. It's a bit like mumbly, or like doesn't come out enunciated well enough, or whatever. I get that. I do get that. And I wouldn't say he's like my favorite rapper, but as an artist and the way he's tied this project together, Weary Love, I just adore that song. How that song emerges. Like, if you listen to that song, it's coming out of a sleepy, warm bath and just getting ready to approach life. The sonics feel like that. And the sampling is unbelievable on here. And yeah, and just the way he's talking about these heavy, heavy loads of life, where he's then talking about his siblings as well, where he says, I know I have regrets, grief don't make the action better, some shit I just have to accept. And then starts to talk about, I will do anything for my brother and sister. Like, I will, like, now my mum isn't here, I have that aspect of just family vibes to it with exquisite beats. As for me is one of my favorite verses of the year, and a different flow on there. And this is just exactly where he's like, what's he saying there? No, it is As For Me, where he says, but this is my only chance left to prove to you all I'm the best rapper in the fucking world. Live like it's on my all. Gotta give it a bunch. And all this stuff, I was like, I'm here now. It feels like I'm here now statement. And I'm just going to just go in and, yeah, just absolutely, like, what else I've got here before I go into what you guys say. Light, if that sample is stunning. And I heard Light again today, and I was like, you know what that makes me yearn for is family Christmases. And in the summer, that's a very weird thing to yearn for, is a family Christmas. But the way that beat just kind of washes up and breaks, like, and the soundscape he riffs on that beat, Light, is, yeah, amazing. And there's that coughing in the background and shit, and overlapping the vocals, and fucking hell, they're going to these dubstep moments. I'm like, this is a journey, and I fucking love journeys, as we know. He has a track called Eczema, and as a man who suffers from eczema, what more of a vibe do I need? Such a wavy vibe for such a realist problem. I was like, this is amazing. And yeah, no, just amazing. Stop Worry, what a fucking song that is as well.
Oh yeah, Yeah.
Stop Worry. There's just songs and so there's not one bad song.
No, it's one of his best, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know how are you familiar, or are you like pretty well versed in the majority of his catalog or all his catalog?
I'd say probably last 2 years, maybe. So not like
okay, so that's interesting because his mom died. I don't exactly know the year, but I think she passed away right before, to where like the content would reflect it, I think, in Tears of Joy.
Mm-hmm.
So that was 2019.
So
2019, I believe.
Weight of the World was this track.
It was 2020.
That was the one that got me.
Yeah, and that's a good project for sure. And I think Tears of Joy was the darkest, like in terms of like he was really it just happened, more or less.
Wow.
So
he recorded
it's been really beautiful to see the journey, because you see the journey from track, like album to album. He's like the lowest. It's really trying hard for him to find like hope. And then Weight of the World's kind of like a little confused about where to go. Disco is where you see the page start to turn. That's where it's like he sounds like it's still kind of somber, but it feels like by the end of it he's like happy, or he's like at peace with like moving forward. And then this one is like he's truly kind of there, it seems, where he's like really like ready to take on the world, and he's been doing that. And the uplifting, the vibe. Yeah, I think this Productions is most like bright soulfulness, and a little more fun with the kind of those like Stop Worry tracks. Like it's a great vibe. He's an amazing rapper, one of the best, like one of my favorite artists currently, for sure.
Yeah, the Sister Nancy thing on Stop Worry is unbelievable.
Yeah,
right? Like, I was like, how are you getting Sister Nancy?
That's a genius. That's a genius. Like how that was pulled off.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
There's just a few tracks here. If I'll jump into you like that, I need to say the No Curse Lifted. One of the best horns I've heard, like the shrillest horns, but amazing. Just chef's kiss on that one. What Do I Do? That swaying beat on that.
I love that song.
And there's just this one song, right, where I was like, Concrete. I was listening to it again, thinking, is this beat weeping? Like, can beats weep? Because this is one of the most beautiful moans of a song I've ever heard. And it's just another stunning layer on this sonic tapestry that I just fucking love on this album. Anyone else got any thoughts on Beware of the Monkey? Anyone, or Mike generally?
Why don't you like boom bap beats? What's going on? Why?
I'm waiting for Black Milk to drop, man. I'm waiting for Black Milk to drop.
God.
Wait, is this... Are we on Create 808, the 90s hip hop podcast? Are we still here?
I drop all my boom bap is in our WhatsApp thread. I should just make that for everyone, because the WhatsApp thread is all my boom bap picks, and then I just don't pick them here. Bangers of the Year playlist, it's all on there, man. I've got boom bap beats, but yeah, I'm sorry, Ray. I'm sorry. SonRaw, any thoughts on Mike or this?
I liked it the one time I listened to it, and I didn't listen to it more for the dumbest reason. He toured here and I was out of town, and I was frustrated that I couldn't catch.
That's a good reason.
I know, and I was just like, I'm not listening to it because I'm going to be mad that I'm missing. I was having a great time. I was out of town, but it was like I was just like, I can't listen to this because it's going to remind me I'm missing the show, and I wanted to catch him live, and everyone said he killed. So,
fair play to you. Fair play, man. So, how many we got left? Ray, you got one left or two left?
I got one left. Yeah,
Ray's got one left. I've got one left. SonRaw, you got one left. Two?
Yeah, I got one.
I got two, but it overlaps with yours.
And but aren't all your one lefts the same?
Should we just talk about maps then?
Okay, let's talk about
maps. No, because I feel like maps is gonna sap all the enthusiasm because people don't want to talk about static anymore. So I'll just get mine out of the way, shall we?
And I'll get mine after. I'll get my number one after as well, because otherwise,
true.
You're right. I love the fact the vacuum it's going to cause here. Ray, go on then, Ray. What's your number one? What have you got?
Just round trip. Static Selector. It's just got everyone on it, and it's got verses of the year on it. It's got just rewarding 4/4 rhythm, boom bap beats. It's got all of it. It's got it's got Benny the Butcher being so Benny the Butcher on a really Benny the Butcher static beat. Do you know what I mean? The beats that everyone is on really suits their rhyme style. The Limbo with Russ. Big Russ fan.
Love Russ.
It's just Jesus.
You love Russ. He brought him to the end of the year. What was it? Chomp 2.
Interesting.
He brought Chomp 2 to the end. He was his album of the year.
Wow. I've heard that one actually was like good, like decently good for people that don't like Russ. So seems like
no,
this is our resident
exactly.
Russ fan.
It was, and but this is just, man, Ransom on Historic is again being so Ransom on it, but it's incredible verse. I was going to say, but verse of the year, either that or say again,
verse of the year for you.
Yeah. It's just up there for it's incredible. Hang on, let me just, where are my notes? It all kind of blurs into one, and my eyes are blurring because it's fucking just.
And we've been doing this for over 2.5 hours. Unbelievable.
Yeah. I'm realizing, like, I've got to go to work in a minute. Brilliant. Fucking hell, everything kind of blurs. Yeah, so Historic, Can't Stop with Stove God. Jesus, that's just such a beat. It's ridiculous. There's Life and Times, Joey Badass. But it's, look, is it a cheat because it's kind of a compilation album, but it's
an album. It's a producer album. I think it's not like a label comp. It's a producer's album.
It's a rap album, like
I think
rap album.
I think you got, what is it, Elzai on there? He pricked my ears up. Elzai was on there as well.
Elzai's fucking the best, man.
Yeah, I was like, okay. And then didn't Stove God tweet the other day, so this is going to be a Stove God summer? So I was like, okay, are we finally getting that we've been waiting for?
I believe that when I see it.
Yeah.
When I hear it. When the album is in my hands, because they've been saying that for a while.
I know. I had him so close for the pod as well one time. Absolutely, definitely down to do it. Let's do it. Oh yeah, wicked. Then just nothing. I was like, you're joking me. So yeah, he's one of them rappers, not just delivering music, but for delivering just on the podcast wishes.
But that's the thing with this album. It just I don't know what it is about Static Selector's beats and what, but everyone is so themselves on his beats, right? So that makes sense. And like even like Nem's on here is like, there's a line about ripping your baby out of the car seat. It's just this loads of shit.
Go fuck your life.
It's fuck your life. Yeah.
I did not like the Nem's track. Like I actually really like this album, but it's like it's one of those things where it's like you either really want to hear the rapper. Or like then you get to the back half and I'm like, oh, I'm skipping a lot of skips. But like the first 10 or so tracks are just like, they remind me of like back in the 90s when you'd have like a movie soundtrack and would have like all these dope cuts by your favorite rappers.
Yes.
And like, typically they weren't singles, or they weren't the things that were on their album. They were always really dope. They were usually collabs. It hit that specific nostalgia like part of my brain perfectly. And it was just like I'd get to the end and I'm like, I'm not listening to Jeezy or Logic. That's not happening. But
you got
like,
Luca on
to that
there.
point, it's
Very
really,
happy
really
about that.
Yeah, I'm lucky he put a lot of them at the end because I was just like, yeah, no, that's. But the beats are dope, and like you shouted out the Ransom track, Ray. Actually, shout out my friend TS, the Sickest Drama, who's got an album, Luxury Tax, which he's the one who put me onto this because he's the world's biggest Ransom fan. I'm like campaigning for him to get a Ransom guest spot at some point because, like, when you meet someone and they just like, that's their favorite rapper. Like, I can tell. Like, I'm like, Ransom, give the man a guest spot. Don't charge him money. He's a fan. Yeah. He's a really good rapper, and people should check his album too. But
amazing.
I also really like the Pasta Noose opening on Round Trip.
Yeah.
That hit me in my soul, and it's like it doesn't really sound like the rest of it, but it was like. I hope that Poss doesn't have to do that kind of track for the rest of his career now that Dave is gone. To hear it so soon after that, it's a beautiful track. And Poss is a great rapper. And I don't know why we never got a solo, but even if it's under sad circumstances, I hope we get one because he's great.
That's the song that stuck out to me, was the Poss track, where I was just like, that love letter, open letter to how he's feeling. Yeah, absolutely. Static delivering again for me, solid. I don't want to call it meat and potatoes hip hop, but in the good way, it is exactly that. You know what you're going to get, but he's ventured into so many features. I didn't think I'd hear a Stove God Cooks. I didn't think that, and it comes out there and it's, I do like it. I haven't heard it enough. I've only heard it once through. So I didn't catch all the bits. It is quite a long project if I remember correctly, but just off the bat, Coat of the Friends album hit me harder. But yeah, that's just the way I am with it. Anyone else, any shouts on Round Trip? No.
The Wu-Tang joint on it was actually pretty good too.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I was surprised because like later day Wu-Tang tracks are like an iffy proposition. Sometimes I was like, oh no, this is a good one. This they knocked that out.
Ray and Ghost,
Meth killed it.
Meth,
Yeah,
they still can do it. So do it. Like, oh, yeah, no, yeah, you're right. That was a surprise. That was one of my favorite cuts off the album. Absolutely. Okay, then. So shall we talk about yours then, SonRaw? What is your one that's not maps, basically?
Right. So number one, I have JPEG Mafia, Danny Brown, Scaring the Hose.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason, I mean, other than the fact that I just love the record, like Danny Brown is one of my favorite. Like now we're in a new decade, but I was going to say the 2010s. He was my favorite rap, full stop. So, and I didn't really like, You Know What I'm Saying, which was his last solo joint. It didn't hit me particularly hard, like not the same way the Triple X or Old or Atrocity Exhibition did. I like what he tried, but it didn't, it didn't stay in rotation the same way. But anyways, here we are in 2023. And my problem with a lot of like, not my favorite music, because if you're really great at what you do, it doesn't matter like, what I might otherwise not like about it. But for, let's say, the B tier or C tier of my listening, I found music to be a little sleepy at some point. Like we talked about, like beats with no drums. If I really like your project, that's cool. But if I only kind of like your project and there's 15 other people that are doing that at the time, it stops being as exciting. Then on the other side of things, like on the drill side, which is more singles oriented, it was like a lot of sleepy beats. It was like I wasn't getting, that MOP, DMX, Onyx level energy out of hip hop. And I was fine with it because there's a ton of good music. We've been talking about this. But I didn't know that I wanted this. And I really wanted this album because it is loud, it is abrasive, it is up-tempo. It's got insane sampling, like that shouldn't make sense, but does. It's got Danny going absolutely nuts on it. JPEG Mafia is not usually a guy who, like, his solo albums are a little bit much for me, but this was like a perfect dose of JPEG Mafia for me. Like this was how I wanted to hear him. And yeah, it was just like, it's like, the cliche, it's what the game was missing for me. It's not what I expected. I was just there and I was like, oh, cool, I'll listen to it. And I was like, wow, this is really nuts. They're grabbing me like a little bit like the RXK Nephew as well. That's what I'm saying is like there's a through line through like a lot of my favorite stuff. And yeah, this one just really hit me. Like just, also as a producer, like I know people are saying like, oh, JPEG Mafia did all this on an SP404. It's like, I'm sure he passed the whole thing through the machine. I'm sure there's other sounds in there. But that's impressive, like full stop. And he made it real cohesive. And I'm mad they're not touring Montreal. I'm looking forward to Volume 2. Like it was just a good turn-up album. And like, I usually like my deeper Danny Brown rhymes, but for him to have like this kind of side project where he can go in that turn-up lane and it not be over like EDM, because that would be really played out at this point. Like, I don't think anyone wants to hear that. For him to find a new sonic bed where he can take out that side of his skill set really worked for me.
Do you know when you hear of a collaboration and you can think, yeah, I can imagine what that's like, and then it delivers on just what they're both really good at. So it's really building on what they're both really good at, and to be able to do it and not go to like find a really nice balance of this is your strength, bang, and combine it and build and make this thing where it's fucking frantic. It's just a frantic, like you said, the sampling is wild. I think you talked about experimental hip hop. One of us mentioned that earlier, right? And I can see this falling into that. If you've not heard JPEG before, I like JPEG's earlier stuff as well. Like, and Danny's Danny, isn't he? And that's the thing. And yeah, I don't know if it's some of my favorite Danny stuff because some of it it's a bit like, I don't even understand it kind of thing, but it fits what it's the capsule it's in for this. Rohan, do you have any shouts on this?
I really like the album, but I've kind of forgotten about it this year. For whatever reason, it's been an album that hasn't scratched an itch I've been wanting. But it's something that I'm noting down that I'm like, I hadn't thought about this album in months, and I don't know why, because I really liked it every time I've heard it. I think I'm glad they made this just really high blistering energy, like guns blazing type thing, because if they would have went, because JPEG Mafia's music can be very dark too, and I actually really like mostly all his solo work. Like All My Heroes of Cornballs is a fantastic album, Veteran too, but I don't think JPEG's at all close to Danny Brown when it comes to lyricism. And so if they were really trying to make like a moody, slow, like Danny Brown, where Danny Brown definitely can do that, I'm just like, I think I'd be constantly being like, JPEG, okay, you can't hit him lyrically, so it's just kind of annoying. Whereas JPEG's much better suited to do that in doses, but then really focus on being zany and fucking out off bones, like I don't know what I'm saying, off the wall crazy. And then Danny Brown, we all know, is good at that, and the production was super inventive. Like Garbage Pail Kids is one of the craziest beats I've heard this year.
Yeah, with the Japanese sample and all that.
Yeah, just truly impressive work, and it delivered.
I will shout out JPEG, who has like, I think the only line this year that made me have a spit take when I heard it. I was drinking a beer, and he said that he was a Black Marjorie Taylory Green.
Oh my god, yeah.
The utter absurdity of that
He's
line.
good at that shit.
I fucking lost it. I was just like, what does that even mean?
This is what I'm talking about. It's wild. It is a wild. God Loves You is the song that I'm listening to that. And yeah, absolute. Yeah. Ray, any shouts on? It's called Scaring the Hose, all caps as well. Like, come on, Ray. Anyone feeling
Scaring the Rays?
Scaring the Rays.
I enjoyed the cover. I enjoyed the cover.
The cover is strong. Yeah. The cover is strong.
Cover is,
yes. I'll give you
really good, but
we'll leave it at that then.
No. It's just the experimental stuff. I'm not. Yeah, no.
It's not your vibe. It's not your vibe.
Yeah, and something about Danny Brown's voice as well. I'm just like, oh man,
his voice is experimental.
That kind of reaction to it, but
it's not for everybody.
But I do get that they both got some lines as well, and you are rewarded if you've got the patience. And
my engineer does not like high pitched rap voices, and I told him that one day I'm going to have a mix of Freeway Danny Brown collab just to troll him.
Do it.
And I love both those MCs. So.
Do it, absolutely. Do it. Before AI
I'll get Magoo on the hook or something.
What a callback. Magoo, yeah, absolutely. High-pitched rap voices, let us know. Yes, who else we got on that posse cut? The high-pitched posse cut. Like Johnny Blaze. But amazing. The chat has been going off a little bit, so I'm just having a quick look at that before we dip into what I suppose is maps. So it's a fusion. So you're talking about that last album you talked about there, Ninja Rose. Mick Jenkins, you mentioned there. Yes, I hope he drops something new actually soon at some point. So what else we got? The beat was weeping, as was Ray. So that's my mic take shot down. Ninja Rose, his number one is Maps, and not just my favorite album of the year, my favorite hip hop album since 2016. And I'm going to say it now. I'm over 20 listens in Billy's best album to date for me. Wow. Okay. Wow, that is a big take. My 5 are, says Jack P. Number 1, Structural Dynamics of Flow by Alaska and Steel Tip Dove. Boom.
Really good project.
Yes.
Really fucking good project.
Some really insightful lines there from Alaska as well on that production. Number 2, Maps. Number 3, The Great Escape. Number 4, Dongo by Bobby Noble. Number 5, Faking My Own Death by Sleeping Dogs. Okay.
Very good too.
I'm enjoying this, Jack P. I've been trying to get my wife to listen to Woods for years, and Maps is the one that finally clicked for her. I think it's probably his most successful work alongside Terror Management. Ooh,
I don't think I don't know why people say that. I think this is his most successful, but Terror Management, like,
I can see
it's got to be the Blockhead Records. It's got to be the like Known Unknowns or something. Like,
yeah, interesting.
Terror Management. Okay, you've got a cool wife. I'll say that.
Yeah, maybe it's that. Maybe it's that. Yeah, interesting. I think Harding Places will always be my go-to. Woods album, yeah, is very good, and they're back again now. Him and Kenny Segal, and Oz says, I feel like I've gone off Static Producer albums, prefer his single artist projects. I don't know if anyone else heard the Top Shelf Premium Freestyle series. Those are superb. Number 6 in particular. I have not. I love our audience. They know their shit. We need to go into that. But right now, my number 1 record of 2023 so far, Rohan's number 1 record of 2023 so far, I feel.
Yeah.
And number 2 for SonRaw, and Ray's nowhere near it. It is Maps by Billy Woods and Kenny. Is it Segal? I say Segal.
Segal, yeah.
Yes.
Kenny Segal.
Wow. Where do you start? We talk about Woods every fucking year. on this podcast, it seems to be he's in my either MVP or like verse of the year or album of the year. Aethiopes last year, Haram a year before that was up in there. Now we've got this. And before we really go into the album, which has been talked about at length, and I would say critically, I know Woods has the critics, but I do also think that this one just seems to be getting a lot of pages, which is great, which is absolutely great to see. But for Woods, I was looking at it like, what more is there to really say about Billy Woods? And I thought for you guys, I just wanted to kick off with, in the history of hip hop and where we're going to go after this period, how do you contextualize someone like Woods in hip hop, generally hip hop history, and where does his legacy really stand? And is there anybody really else like him, or maybe there just isn't anyone else like him? But for you guys, I thought, what if we started somewhere like that before we dip into maps? Anyone got any thoughts? I'd
say that this is. I'll say first of all, he's my favorite artist of all time. Like, so that's just like the bias that I'll have, that he's like my favorite artist ever. He has surpassed all of them.
How old are you? Rohan?
I am 28.
You're 28. So when you first heard Woods, how old were you?
It was 2012. I heard him with History. So I was, that's 11 years ago. I was 17.
Right.
I was 17.
This is interesting. Yeah. So my, I don't know, Pharomonch vibe or whatever at that time, my Eminem, that kind of thing, is yours is Woods at 17. So it's a really interesting aspect of this whole dimension of this podcast. Break down why you think that then. Why is he your favorite artist?
I think it's a mixture of a lot of things. I think the more simple ones is that I think he picks beats that I feel are super interesting. He scratches an experimental itch that I love. I think he's a master at creating albums that have like a real concept, theme, direction. And then I think lyrically, which is his real, like the main kind of draw for many people, and is that I think he like very concisely describes and bottles up life experiences or perspectives on the world in a way that I've never heard anybody do before, in a sense that it's really grounded in reality, but it's also really fucking educated and
funny
and just really it's like really worn in wisdom type thing. Like, and the fact that I was able to speak to him on my show, one of the things that I just kept getting blown away is that like when he would just go on tangents and start talking about things that I've like, in a way where you could tell that what he talks about on Aethiopes, for example, which is probably his most like referential, most rich reference type album in terms of history, he would just rhyme shit off in conversation unannounced. And I'm like, oh, you really know this shit. Like I can't even like get close to your historical like understanding of how the world has functioned, you know, and all this. And I think he brings all of that into just into this package of just, again, really able to capture dense ideas into really concise little nuggets. And then he's really funny and he's really comes off like a real person. I think that's the kind of final piece of it, that he comes off like a guy you can just talk to. And in real life, that's how he is too, where it's just really personable, charismatic, and really dry, witty humor. And he also just has like personal things I like. Like he really is into fucking football, like American football. And he has the best football references I've ever heard by a mile. Like the most really weird niche, like random third string receiver type references. Like, and it's great. Big fan. And yeah, I guess that's my like unplanned way to describe why I think he's the best.
That's interesting. Yeah, absolutely. SonRaw, did you have anything on Woods on those things, or anyone we can liken him to or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking, I mean, I knew that it was going to be your number one, and I knew it was going to be Rohan's number one. So I put it number two just for variety as much. It's 1A and 1B. But Aethiopes and to a lesser extent, but also really much Church were both my number ones last year. So that was, I'm obviously a big fan. The thing that really has struck me recently is, so it's like, I opened for Woods when he came to Montreal, and I had his album at number one, and I listened to a lot of backwoods stuff, and I bought the vinyl from him. And like ordinarily for an underground rapper, that would make me like in their biggest fans.
I don't know if it's just my Twitter feed. I don't feel like I'm even remotely as big a Billy Woods fan as like the people on Twitter. He has the most rabid cult fan base where they're like, what do you mean you only have one Backwoods album on your top 5? And I'm like, I mean, I'm deeply, deeply impressed by that, because to be able to, you know, spark that fire into people, and after years of basically not being a factor in the conversation, because I remember 2012, that type of underground rap was just not on a lot of people's radar. It was like you'd have, you know, you were getting, at most you'd get like kind of a Ka, Marsburg, post-Cuban Links thing that had its fans. And then you had like on the mainstream level, everyone was kind of being a little, oh, I'm lyrical, but I'm also double time and swagged out. I'm doing the TD, ASAP, even Danny Brown, who I mentioned. That stuff was popular if you weren't into straight up trap like Future and them. And the fact that Backwoods, like that he was grinding not only from then, but from like the early 2000s when the whole indie rap economy was going down the drain. The fact that he had the confidence to just keep going at it impressed me. And he deserves that cult fan base, and he's going to be reaping the rewards. Like, I'm absolutely convinced that he's the one rapper right now where there's going to be like college courses on him in like 10, 20 years. Like, he's hit that tipping point now where he's getting the like 8.9s or whatever, the 9.1s on Pitchfork, where people are getting it and buying into it. And I'm impressed because like now at the point where I'm at now, like I pretty much like every Billy Woods Arm & Hammer album, but they took a while for me to like kind of tune my ear into it. It wasn't like, it didn't even occur to me that like that kind of really uncompromised, wordy underground rap would ever be a thing. Like, I'm talking about the company flow post Def Jokes. Like, I know that at this point it's evolved into something else. I'm talking maybe more around like History Will Absolve Me or Today I Wrote Nothing kind of thing. I didn't think that stuff was going to make a comeback, and he willed it to life in a way that, other than Rock Marciano, I don't know too many rappers like that just not even necessarily single-handedly, but that really use their voice to bring a whole style back and then to push it into somewhere new, because this is a really new territory. About the album itself, it's great. You know, it's the other aspect of it is Kenny Segal, who samples a lot of like post-rock and rock music, and like it's almost a meme on the internet. Like, I don't like guitars. I don't like rock and roll. It's like Lil Yachty's my favorite rock album of the year. It's not my favorite rap album, but I'm like, oh, it's better than all the rock albums that you rock critics like. Yachty's better. It's like one, and you're all like 100 spots down. It's my top 100's all Yachty. But like, I love those Kenny Segal beats, and it was the same thing on Hiding Places, where I was like, at the beginning, I was like, oh, I don't know if this is for me, just because it's not my kind of music. And then by the end of it, I'm like, yo, you really made me like music that I feel like otherwise I wouldn't have fucked with. And that's impressive on a whole other level. So, you know, I mean, I'm sure you guys Rohan just said something really great about it. He got something to say. I won't like keep going, but yeah, he deserves the success, man. And like, I'm there for it. I'm a big fan. It's just, I'm always impressed. I always feel like a fake fan because some people seem to like him like so much more than I do. And I already have him at number one last year, number two this year.
I know.
So it's, you know, there's that side of it that's crazy. Really nice guys, as Rohan also mentioned. Like, I met him. I told him that I wanted a copy of Ethiopes. He remembered at the end of the show to save one for me, even though there was like a rabid fan base going to like, that would have bought every single copy. You know, just those little touches of remembering people, you know, that also stands out. So, you know, big up to him. He totally deserves it. And if it wasn't number 2, it would have been number 1 this year. It's like, you know, what's the difference at that point?
Yeah. It's just the consistency and kind of length of this long-term kind of, he's been in it for a while, but it's pretty remarkable. And having been in the scene for so long, you see the markers in life, right? So Tribe didn't have a run as long as this, but they were probably more impactful in a weird way. But like, I would look at Doom, Madlib, Al's work now, had Dilla been alive, what Dilla went on to do. These are the things where I think you're going towards now, where you're like, Jesus Christ, every project has something. And it's weird that he hasn't had an L. it's just strange in a world where there's so much music, and to release so much music and to still keep bringing it with these thought out concepts. This one feels a little bit more transistory, if you know what I mean, as in like transitional, should I say? I don't know. It doesn't feel like you said, it's very referential, the last year's one, Aethiopes, but this one is more, I still am actively participating in it because it's Billy Woods, and that's what he does for me. Like, if I look at my picks, my 5 picks this year, you have the womb comfort. I've talked about it before, like I'm in the womb. I know what I'm getting of Mac and Oddisee and stuff like that. But to help me deal with life and forget it, I need that, absolutely. Woods' music is very much about me being engaged with life. And if I'm not trying to be engaged with life or being active and being more passive, it makes me think, amuse and get confused and question things in kind of good ways, and just as we've talked about rewarding music, everyone has their own aspects of what rewards them. I've said this about Woods before as well, is like that brambled language he has does stick in my head like splinters. There are just splinters of Woods of when I think about amazing rhyming. And like you said, his references and funny shit, and on this he's talking about food, and he makes me hungry when he's talking about fucking frying up some fucking fish and shit, and I'm like, oh, Woods always does this, man. He always drops some food references where I'm like, I'm hungry now after listening to him.
So God, man. Yeah, I've been starving this whole conversation.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, now you mention all these lines that he says, man. He knows his fucking food, man.
He does. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Do go get a sandwich. We're not going to be too much longer now. This is supposed to be a 2-hour podcast. Obviously, it's not anymore because we've only just started talking about Woods. We should have just done this for an hour on him. But yeah, I suppose if we talk about the album, then Maps itself, like for you guys, why is it your number one? Well, Ray, did you have anything to say on Maps that maybe that I've forced Billy Woods on you every year?
Yeah.
Is there anything on this that's different for you?
I mean, the thing. So what I put, I wrote this down. I thought I was very clever when I wrote it. He's growing on me slowly like mold, but where would we be without penicillin? Do you know what I mean? It feels like it's going somewhere to be like this. He's building. With each project, I'm slowly like, all right, okay, let's see what's his goal. Because I was put on the chat, just to remind us all, alternative description of Woods was Ray once referring to him as, or me once referring to him as someone who is aggressively reciting poetry, and that's that's his aesthetic, isn't it? It's very much like.
That's what my girlfriend insists all rap music is, for the record.
Oh, right. But yeah, that's the thing with it. Like, I've had trouble. Look, I've obviously presented myself as very much like, these are the rules. You have to satisfy these 3 rules, and then I don't like anything outside of that. So, put that to one side. Is that I don't know? Yeah, it's slowly winning me over. This sound check.
I feel like this one could, like, Rapper Weed is one of the most conventional. I love that fucking beat, man.
If you're not
Crazy,
smoking a joint listening to that, what's wrong with you? Like, that is made for that.
I think the drums on this album are like truly incredible. Kenny Segal's always been very good with drums, and this is like stupendous in a lot of ways. I mean, I'll just say I guess I'll just go into my map thoughts quickly. I think this is better than Hiding Places. Personally, I think it's more consistent. I really love the flow of how the album weaves from track to track. Like, and again, now that I had this conversation with Woods, it really kind of made me realize something I wasn't noticing, because as much as I'd like to say I notice all these little wrinkles and concepts, I don't always. But he was saying how, like, pretty much every track was written like in the time that he's referring to in the song, like if he's in Amsterdam or wherever the fuck he's in, like he's talking about, he's written it there. But the only parts of the album where he wrote at home was NYC Tapwater and the final track. So the final 2 tracks of the album. And I just found all those little wrinkles of how it flows, and then it ends with the verse, that very short verse that's kind of just speaking about the fears of like what he's going to do. Like he's going to, like when he passes, what's like, he's going to miss his children. And one of the most like direct, emotionally evocative moments where he's ever spoken about his children. Like
unbelievable.
Very, very abnormal for him, who's a very private person. And I, in hindsight, I know he's mentioned children, but I always thought it was, you could easily read it and listen to him and be like, he's talking metaphorically, or like giving a story. Like one is like, if I ever catch my kids like coming back smoking mids or something, it'll be a problem. Like that's not the line, but that's the impetus of it. Like that could just be a funny little remark. But anyways, I just think the hooks are, he's been underrated with hooks his whole career. And this is like phenomenal. Rapper Weed has like a crazy hook. I think there's really just a complete from beats to rhymes to hooks to sequencing. And I'll also say that I think this is the best. Again, I know he's my favorite artist ever, so it's not surprising, but this is the best run of hip hop music I've ever seen in 5 years. Because we're thinking about what he's delivered since 2018. You got Paraffin, Terror Management. What is 2019? Was Hiding Places. Then you had Brass. Then you have Haram. Then you have White Label, which I count because that's like really good album. And then you have Church, Aethiopes, and Maps. Those are all like absolute stunning records to classics. Like that's the only range of outcomes. So like that's phenomenal. That's like 8 to 9 projects. So there's hyperbole alert, but that's just my thoughts.
That's not many. There's with all that, right? The amount is givers, and then you realize it. Well, after a while, if you're new towards maybe not so much, he's one of the best stylists in hip hop to me. People talk about his rhyming, his beat selections, his collabs, but the delivery of his lyrics, I think sometimes we just need to realize is masterful. It's a masterful way of, and his voice is one of the best voices in hip hop. But then I was like, funny thing is, people do love to analyze his work, but it's kind of futile. It's kind of futile to analyze and spread, like you said about college like courses. But I also think like it kind of only means what it means to you as a listener. He's not out there trying to explain what he's talking about. It really means what it means to you. And that's what I love about his music. Like a throwaway, it's not throwaway, but for some people a throwaway line about your grandma in heaven and all this shit on this album may not mean something to someone else, but to me it really means something right now. And there's all these moments of like these moments of shit, I'd never thought of life that way, combined with my daily routine narrated by Attenborough over the instrumentals to keep it thorough. Come on, like what's that other line? That same song, I think, where he makes maybe the everyday struggle, maybe the suicidal thoughts was the everyday struggle. Yeah, and you've got the Biggie reference where you're like, fuck, like, yes, obviously, but no, not obvious. This is so mad how you're using language, and his use of language. That's another thing. I think
one thing I like about him, though, sorry to cut you off.
No, not at all.
Is that he can be like abstract, quote unquote, but I find he's more, the reason he's sometimes harder to like, because I myself include, like harder to understand exactly what he's saying necessarily, is more based on like how he structures his verses. I don't find he's really talking that mystical, if you will.
Not cryptic.
I think it's more like you'll notice that he just started to go into this kind of like, because he's very free associative, kind of whatever those words are that you'd use for it, where like he'll go in a tangent where you like realize those last four bars, let's say, we're talking about some story that has some kind of like, when you think about that story, what does that mean? Like in terms of the reason why he's bringing it up is like, oh, maybe because that just speaks to how like fucking bleak his life is at this given moment, or this story of like this emotion it would evoke. But it's also, but what he's actually saying in the words, I don't find are that confusing to understand. It's more like the context is sometimes what I find is hard to understand with him. And it takes me a long time to capture, where it's like, I get what you're saying, but why? Like, what is I only just heard of who Robert Moses was. I don't know if you guys know who this is. I was with a friend on the weekend, and he's big in our like architecture and shit like that. And I didn't know who the fuck Robert Moses was. And now I'm so curious to listen to that Arm & Hammer track to think about why did he name it that? Because otherwise the track didn't remind me of why he would bring that up. But that's what I mean. It's more like context. It's not like he's really that mystical and confusing. I feel like people overdo how hard it is to understand his music. But I do understand why at the same time. Like,
I mean, to me, you've got to, speaking as someone who wasn't on from 2012 on, who like I was someone who he won over and he became a favorite. Like I named him in one of my like top 3 at the moment. You do have to tune your ear to it, and at the beginning, it doesn't sound like too many other rappers, which ends up being a plus. But I can see why for some people it's got to be the right project or the right beat. Like I know for me, Haram was a big turning point. I was already a fan. I'd already been listening to a bunch, but that kind of unlocked a lot of his prior material to me, because I was hearing him on production that my ear was already attuned to. Then it attuned me to what he was doing. And then I was able to go back and enjoy maybe some of those other projects. Like, not even that I wasn't enjoying them, but it fully grasp them, like that kind of thing. The other thing is, I feel it's less the case now, but there was at one point where the way he was being marketed, and I don't mean like backwoods just marketing him, just maybe more the way people were covering him. It was like, oh, Marxist rapper Billy Woods. And I was like, I'm not trying to fuck it.
What the fuck?
Like,
yeah.
And then you listen to him and it's like, that's really not it. He's actually picking that apart, making fun of it, doing football jokes, doing food, the amount of weed references. It's just rap music. It's not,
not Marxist
not
shit.
Something. It's not rocket science, but it was being pushed at me that way. And I was resistant to it because, like, in the media environment that we are in today, and having done my college degrees or whatever, I'm not trying to hear someone just tell me what's in the textbook. And because it's, as soon as I realized, like, oh, it's not that, it's got parts of it, but he's also saying, oh, I might disagree with this part of it. Then at that point I was like, oh, okay, I can really fuck with you, like, as a person. And as soon as that happens, I fuck with you more as an artist. Yeah. I mean, this album in particular, what I want to jump in is, it dropped right when I came back from my trip. What a perfect album to listen to when you're coming back. 2 months trip, even if you're not an artist. Like NYC Tapwater, I was listening to it as, just a week after I came back. I was like, wow, this is kind of how I feel right now. I'm really happy to be back home. I miss being in hotels, but, just having, being able to do whatever I want all the time. Now I've got to go cook dinner or whatnot, and I've got responsibilities, but yeah, he does capture a mood really well. And I'm someone, I've been fortunate enough to be like traveled in my life, and he did nail like kind of the framing device of the album. He really did get that. Yeah. And, with the it's a whole other thing. I mean, we're just saying nice things about him at this point. So.
With the artwork and everything. But the interesting thing you said about him being the way, how can you deliver Billy Woods as like a certain thing? Because the way I look at him, he's kind of the guy in the cafe overlooking like Times Square, or a really busy cross section of people just constantly being colliding and bumping into each other, right? And he just finds things in life that are just weird and funny that I just don't notice. It's a bit like David Foster Wallace, I suppose, his writing he, back in the day, where I would be like, I'm not likening Woods to that, but I'm saying the same effect of, I'm just gonna, this thing happens all the time and all of us find it fine, but if I'm just gonna highlight it with a few words here and turn it around, you can actually realize how kind of weird it is and funny or sad or whatever, but we all kind of just go away on our lives, living it and not really caring, because our lives we haven't got the time to be minutiae and look at all the micros, because we've got kids, we've got fucking jobs, we've got all this. Yet you have one guy who's just looking at everything, all of life, and just kind of picking it apart and how it relates to him, be it history, be it politics, be it whatever, be it sport, food. And you're like, shit, he isn't a one thing. Like, Woods is kind of everything. And yeah, that's the way I look at it. But quickly to wrap it up then, if we're looking at like songs, my song of the year probably is Soft Landing. I know it's the first single, I think, or video that came out of this, but I love NYC Tap. I love a lot of these songs, but there's stuff on that. The hook, we talk about hooks, the way he's twisted Nina Simone to that. And yeah, just hit me hard. A single death is a tragedy, but eggs make omelets. And then you think, I didn't even know this until someone pointed out to me that that's a Stalin line. He's like Joseph Stalin. Like, what? How's he taken that reference and made that? And then, yeah, just that. You talked about traveling and how it's the perfect, obviously it's maps and the artwork, everything ties in. But when he says this and you think that's exactly, when you're on a plane, Ray, you've done a lot of traveling recently, so you'll know what I mean. But you get a bit of mad perspective at one point. You're tired, you're hungry, you don't need to be on a plane anymore, and you're really high up in the sky, and you get this real kind of mad perspective on life sometimes. And this is what he says when he says, for a brief sweet moment, there was nothing in the thought bubble. From up there, the lakes as puddles, the land unfold brown and green. It's a quiet puzzle. I'd not been on a plane for ages, but I remember coming back from like long ass fucking India trips, and I've been just knackered and thinking, yeah, God, is everything down there so small? Why are we worried about everything? Well, and you get home and you get back into it. You get back into your normality. And this is what he's been touching for me. And Yeah, as a crow flies, he talks about that earlier as well. The dad line about I watch him grow, wondering how long I got to live. Fucking hell, Jesus, Billy Woods. Oh my God. Ray, did you have anything you wanted to finish off with Woods before we jump into our other categories, or anything else about this album that we've talked about?
Yeah, no, I mean, like I say, like it's growing on me, and it's sound check, like all this, just echoing the stuff that you said as well, and the hook on that, and layover as well. The end of Babylon by Bus, and
that beat switch,
you know, that
bro.
just that's the bit, the bit where I'm like, okay, that's the bit where I heard it and I was like, all right, hang on, let me just
it makes you sit up.
Let me just that's what caught my attention. I was like, all right, maybe I got to start paying more attention to all the music.
But Year Zero, bro. Year Zero is a verse of the year contender. Absolutely is. From Woods as well. Like, unbelievable. And where he says what's he say there about like the evolution of man? I put this like, you can't fix stupid. When he puts that in the line, and you're trying to re-weaponize these everyday catchphrases, and then he talks about it's only a matter of time till we see two unrelated active shooters, and you're like, fucking hit. That just really hit. Danny Brown on there with that feature, one of the features of the year for me. Just
that's my verse of the year, actually. Like did you hear the story about it? Because he's been on a couple of podcasts saying how.
What did he say?
It was something like he was hounding him for months to get the verse, and then at some point, like they corralled him to, I think it was Dove's house, to like after a show to get him to do the verse. And he showed up with like 2 cars worth of people, basically freestyled half of it, and they were like, "What are we gonna do with this?" And like ended up keeping the whole thing. That was my first year. That's actually probably why I had Danny over Maps. Was just like, all right, well, if they're tied and Danny had a feature on Maps, I have to, it was
math. That's math right there. I feel you.
Yeah, it was a tiebreaker vote.
You can hear that kind of wild energy in that feature too, like the kind of, because it almost sounds like the verse is about to end, and then he just goes for another 8 bars. It's like, whoa, shit.
Yeah. I mean, it does.
It's worth mentioning that like Danny went to rehab and all that, and I wish him like the absolute best with whatever his issues. But I've had years like on partying in clubs and whatnot, and like that sounded like a wildly unhinged, I haven't slept and I'm on several substances ass verse. And to be able to rap that well in that state is impressive. I can't string 2 words together if I'm geeked up. Like, forget it. Like,
yeah. Well, do you know we have these like lines and verses and whatever, and isn't there a Twitter handle out there? It's just words from Woods or whatever. It's a great
words of Woods. Yeah,
it's fucking great. This I think we all have this, and we have to just point this out. When Woods does drop anything, doesn't everyone's Twitter feed just become verse of Woods? People are
it's just a backwoods sponsored timeline. Like they might as well just pay Twitter for.
I'm afraid that if I ever dislike something he does, I can never say it on Twitter because there will be a mob at my door.
I know.
Like
you have to close friends that shit.
Close friends that shit.
No, all my close friends like Woods.
That's the problem. We're the people that'll be at his door. But yeah, there's 2 lines here that I absolutely loved, which was on Blue Smoke, overtime symbols eclipse the things they symbolize. And I just looked at my MF Doom tattoo and I was like, oh, fuck. Like, this is really relative to like, when does the symbol of Doom just become more than what Doom was for me? And I was your age there with Doom, Rohan. So, I feel like it wouldn't ever. But, after a while, after the amount of Doom shit I post on the socials anyway, I know it's crazy amount of Doom shit I post, but it's also like, when does that symbol just eclipse what it symbolizes? And that line fucking hit hard, man. And then you're thinking about what's the other one that he says here, which I absolutely fucking love as well. Got it here somewhere. I will find it for you. Soundcheck's great, like you said. No, I haven't got it for me. I haven't got it. Sorry, man. But yeah, no, absolutely love. Any other love for this album before we move on?
I mean, I can give love. Sorry, go.
I was going to say, we got to give a shout. I don't know if Cam, you're going to mention it, but the Aesop Rock feature as well is
my good. That was in my verse of the year section, my friend.
Right.
We could move into that if you want.
That's what I was gonna say, because that was mine. Mine is from Maps. That's what I was gonna.
Well, let's move into that. This is what I was gonna fucking say.
I hate to be the one. I gotta go cook dinner. It's my turn to do it.
Oh man, don't worry, it's all good. Well,
I didn't think we would go over 6 p.m. But
yeah, I mean,
sorry.
If she shows up and there's no food, it's gonna be I'm going to sleep on the couch.
I don't want you to sleep on the couch.
She's lovely.
My bro,
before I go, I was gonna real quick drop like some of the other ones I had, if that's cool with you.
Drop all your categories now, man. We can sweep it up.
Project that made me change my mind about an artist or surprised me. Chris Crack finally clicked with his last 2 EPs.
Mm-hmm.
I love him now. Like, I don't know why it didn't click with me before. That's on me, not on him.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously. Best least hip hop album. They're both kind of hip hop, but they're both not hip hop. Kalila Raven is a super dope experimental R&B album.
What an album.
Fucking love her.
And Paul St. Hilaire, Tiki Man Volume 1. He's been around for a long time. He's like he's from the Caribbean originally, but he lives in Berlin and he just basically rhymes over like dub techno and it's super weird. Not hip hop, but you might like it if you like really left field stuff. Best hip hop moment, Questlove's Oscar thing, which was like a live mixtape almost. That was super, super dope.
Nice.
His rediscovery, Dog Pound, Dog Food. I don't know why. That album, I just started listening to it again.
What an album.
And yeah, MVP of the year and verse of the year was Danny. Like, we already talked about that, so you ain't gotta hear it. I'm sorry I got to bounce early.
No worries, man.
Not on purpose, but I will check out the rest of the convo when you post it for sure.
Thank you, SonRaw. Always appreciate you, my man.
So much, man.
I will wrap this up for all of our sanity soon. Don't worry. So yes, thank you for that, SonRaw.
Peace out, guys.
Peace out, man.
Yo, and shout out to the pod run. I really like the past couple episodes too. I didn't. And condolences for your dad, mate. I didn't find a way to fit that into just the conversation, but nah, my mom's going through some stuff now too, so I feel you.
Hit me up, man. Anytime you need anything, absolutely. Yeah, it always helps to have peeps around, definitely.
Peace. I'll talk to you soon.
Peace, man.
Appreciate it.
Easy.
SonRaw, absolute legend right there. We have got some more episodes coming with him, so that voice, get used to it. You've had 3 hours of it. You'll probably get some more in a bit. So the one last bit on Woods, I was going to say, and I don't know if anyone picked up Rohan, you probably did. Do go listen to Rohan's chat with Billy Woods, by the way, on his podcast. Absolutely smashing it. And YUNGMORPHEUS you've had on there, right, this year, right?
Yeah.
Geez, all my picks basically on Rohan's podcast. But there was one here on Kenwood Speaker, right, where it only hit me later. It's about gentrification. That's an obvious thing it is about. And it's all about gentrification, all this stuff, and what do you call them, blue-eyed White Walkers or something, and in King's Landing. Yeah, just I love the fact that he watches Game of Thrones. But the story, I actually clocked the story he's telling in that, where he's with his neighbor. It reminded me of the Spike Lee skit where the Brooklynite steps on the other guy's sneaker, and he's sitting there with his Brooklyn neighbor. He said, I turned the music up incrementally, and told mischievous lies. I whispered in the host's ears all night. And I was like, hold on, wait. So he's around someone's house who's gentrified his area, and now he's turning the music up ever so slightly, and he starts whispering these things in his ear, and eventually the guy kills himself. I was like, what? How have I missed this story? So Woods has these just moments where I just like, what the fuck, man? Absolutely. So verse of the year, my verse of the year is on this album, so it kind of ties in nicely. I'll tie it in because I think that someone else might have this as well. I have got it for Waiting Around. What a time to be alive. We have got Aesop Rock trading verses with the man Billy Woods in a dense as a black hole beautiful kind of way. Aesop's feature, it is my feature of the year and my verse of the year. Just look at the way he's posing lifetime questions in bars that as he's dropping each penny, my mind is altering with each line, and that is just fucking incredible. The depths of this verse are insane. And I think when you think of what success is for creatives and all the things that undercut the messages that you're trying to send in life, it's just very hard to put it into language. So what he does on this verse for me is incredible. I will not even try to recite it because it's Aesop Rock and you can't do that. Did anyone, verse of the year contenders, guys, we're putting it out there, does anyone have Aesop in their verses of the year contenders?
I did not know, but I love that feature. I think the part where he's like, they ask about touring, something they don't understand the crux of the question. I don't remember the line, but that one was like, he really showed out. That was one of the best verses I've heard from him in a while.
Yes. Thank you. Ray, Aesop Rock, you mentioned it earlier. Is it something you want to build on?
No. Ransom is first of the year. We've already established that.
Of course, yes, of course, you've already said it. But Aesop, you've got to be feeling that.
No,
right?
I mean, I'm saying we've already established it for everyone, for all people everywhere.
Ransom
is the
yeah. But absolutely smashes it on that.
But Aesop,
track.
mate,
history.
Come on, you can't deny that verse. Can you? Please don't. Jesus. He's going to.
I mean, it's all right. But listen to it. Have you heard the Ransom verse?
I need to listen to it, but you've made me want to hear it again. So yes, maybe I'm wrong. So let's have a quick look at what everyone's saying in the thing before we go to your verses. Rohan, I need to hear yours. Billy, here we go. Ninja's Rose. Billy Woods will be remembered as fondly as MF Doom when all is said and done. We need to start having a discussion about his discography being arguably the best ever in hip hop at this point. Wowee. Splinters of Woods there's a bar. That's a bar right there, Cam. Yes, Oz, that's a very good bar. I did think about his language, Brandboard language. Absolutely. The Quelle Chris feature is hard, and Danny Brown as well, says Jack P. Absolutely. For me, the imagery Billy Woods delivers, like off the Hunter track, Arm & Hammer. Yes. Black Crow perched upon chimney pipe, dark as your worst night, heroin dealers crane their necks against the absence of light. That's just one of many. You're right, Ninja's Rose. And Oz says, my rediscovery of the 90s has been 456 by G-Rap after digging back into Juggernaut's episode with us. Oh, wicked. Fair play to you. Yeah, G-Rap's rhyming is unreal on that, and it really is. Aesop bars out on that verse, he says, Oz. He can be weird and make complicated word choices, but really disciplined in his rhyming. 100%. Rohan, your verse of the year, my friend. What have you got?
So mine's on Hangman, Billy Woods. Unsurprising. I think he like fucking leaves Earth on this one. Like I wrote down the lyrics because like one part where I don't want to say it all, but it says like the Hindu Kush, a Sikh surrounded by thuggers, flying carpets out this motherfucker. But the part where he's like, I don't sleep, and I don't know the way the beat's incredible, and I just feel like there's a real like urgency in his voice in this, specifically in this verse and the whole track. But that specific part where he's like, I don't sleep, I hover outside myself, watching my body survive, my shell mechanical, people paralyzed by the lies they tell themselves to make it manageable. I know the count right, but I recount on sleepless nights because it's tangible. He even says it like that, like he puts the little sauce on it, and I'm just like, fucking Jesus, what the fuck? Like, that one, I love it. I think I can't really say more. It's just incredible, like imagery. I don't know if it's on this song, but he says payback inexact, but I think it's on this song in the other verse. He's like, payback inexact, but I be squinting over measuring spoons.
Yes.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that line's got me as
payback
well. Like,
always inexact, but I be squinting over measuring spoons. It's like, what? Jesus, fuck. Like, love this. That's my verse of the year.
I love that. I have got a few shouts here just for other verses that people want. Black Thought is up there for me. Alter Ego, The Way. He's rhyming on that, and what he's rhyming about. Oddisee on Get It to Meadow. I've got Billy Woods on Year Zero. That's my Woods verse. Year Zero is incredible. Mach-Hommy on a larger one. Slug from Atmosphere on Bigger Pictures. They did drop as well and absolutely killed it on that. Killer Mike, Don't Let the Devil. Killer Mike is unreal. And RX Nephew's Long Story is the crazy ass verse I was talking about. That is fucking wilding.
Good track.
Yeah. Let's look at bangers of the year then quickly. I don't need you to list like 100, but just some of your favorite songs of 2023 so far. Race, what are some of your just favorite songs of the year so far, and why?
The Drunk Tank, DJ Moya and Daniel Son. Have you heard that?
No. Tell me more.
It's just I don't know. It slowly builds up, and then just your head's moving. You can't help it. It's one of those. Okay. DJ Quick dropped a track. Class.
Yes.
It's so
sick.
So it's so quick. When as soon as it comes in, you're like, oh mate, this DJ is
Quick.
Yeah. And there's another track that I've just I've got to give a shout out for you. You know, Lala H. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Lala HF. Lula HF.
Oh, Lula HF from England. Yes, the UK rapper.
Lula HF.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's a release this year. No, Shut the FA Cup. It's very British.
Oh yes, he has released that. I forgot. Yeah.
But there's a tune, High Culture at Low Cost, and just fucking hell. Just there's rhymes on that. There's no one else rhyming like that. But it's very British as well. It's
very British.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, just I'm feeling it. It's a tune that I keep going back to.
See, Bad Handwriting from last year from Lula was one of mine as well. I enjoyed that as well. He's got some gems in there. Rohan, favorite bangers, songs of the year.
So yeah, I didn't interpret this correctly. I thought it was literally like banger in the sense of like a song where like you really like high energy, you want to turn up the volume. But I think that's still good. These songs are. I picked a couple. Larry June and the Alchemist Art Talk.
Oh,
featuring Boldy James. The fucking beat drop. I wish Ray was here to hear this because this is where I actually thought of this song when he said like I wish the Alchemist when he like sometimes the beat doesn't drop when you want it to. Like this one has the beautiful keys and then that bass is like it's like a fucking ocean. It's cavernous as fuck. It's crazy. Yeah. And Larry and Boldy just really do a great job and just like glide over those beats like masters. But my main kind of banger in terms of again taking it like a song that you want to just turn up the volume is Angel Dior SD Knack.
Mm-hmm.
That one is the one where he took his singing to like another planet where it's like singing the hook and it almost goes in the verse and then he goes into more of a normal rap and the drums are so hard. I think that I forget who makes that beat, my mistake, but it's just a crazy song and I'd say that's probably the biggest banger. Like I just need that shit up like highest volume.
Love
possible.
That. It should be called bangers, but I do love that bangers is what you brought. This is exactly what I asked for, to be fair. So there we go. Well, my if we're talking about bangers, My Boy by Dreamville and JID, that's what I need. Like I'm watching Creed 3, not the best Creed. My Boy comes on. I'm like, okay, no, I'm in now. I'm in. And just the way that track rides, I love that. And yeah, absolutely loving that. I've got Soft Landing, obviously, by Billy Woods. 89 Earthquake was by Larry June and Alchemist cut. Nicholas Craven and Mike Sharp brought out Basquiat, which is brilliant as well. And big up to Zilla Rocker, Curly Castro, Premrock, and Casual on Behemoth, the Small Pro remix, where I was like, how the fuck, man, is this going as it's going? And no one's talking about this track. It's such a banging track. And I think I've got one more here. Sidhu Musavala, who is a Punjabi rapper. Miranar came out with Burner Boy, and it's just a banger that's been on in our household.
Oh, I need to hear that. I need to check that out.
Yeah, it's not your typical hip hop, but it's got a trap element to this one, and it's if you're going to take it to India, let's go there. And Burner Boy on there, it's just pretty mad. Well, we talked about Conductor Williams, but my beat tape of the year, Conductor Williams as well. Conductor, We Have a Problem. Visualizer is just a brilliant song off that as well. But yeah, go check out our Crate 808 Bangers playlist for all those good things. We've got that on the Spotify, crate808.com to check that out. And what else we got here then? Best album you'll never listen to again. I've got Jack Harlow's Jackman, because I heard it, I thought, yeah, it's all right, it's okay. And then I watched White Men Can't Jump the remix. I thought, I'm never, ever listening to anything Jack Harlow ever does again, because you can't do the White Men Can't Jump revamp and do it that badly. So yeah, there you go. Best album you'll never listen to again. Does anybody have any takes?
I did not fill out that category. I have some other categories.
That's all good. MVP? Mine's Billy Woods.
Yeah, mine's Billy Woods. I think it's just trying not to keep repeating it. I would say that the Ascension to going to that Maps release show, because that was like the Brooklyn show with all the Backwoods guys, and it was sold out. And the show started at 6:45 because they kind of last minute wanted all the Backwoods artists to do a little set.
Right.
And everybody was there so early in the day for a show. And it was just amazing to see him. He was shouting out all the albums that were going to drop at the end.
Yeah.
And he's not usually that amped like that, where it's like, he was really like, we got Sharif coming, we got Lucid. Like he was just like really amped in a way that I had not seen him perform. Like usually he's amped in his music. And then after he's like, just like casual and just like kind of cracking jokes, being a wisecrack type dude. But like, that was really cool. You could tell he was like very proud of what's happened. So that was just nice to see. But yeah, he's my MVP for all the reasons mentioned before.
I was going to say, we've kind of got into why, I suppose. Ray, MVP of the year for you?
MVP is got to be, it's ChatGPT, isn't it? How is ChatGPT not an MC name? ChatGPT's got to be an MC name.
It will be.
You know what? I'm going to hate it when it happens.
Yeah. Of course it's going to be. Yes.
In prep for this, so look, it's not a real shortcut because you can't shortcut your honest opinion about something. But I was like, let me see what ChatGPT thinks the best, underground rap has been this year. And then, so I asked the question, like, the top 10, underground artists that come out in 2023 so far, and it came out with a whole load of names, and then I don't know any of them, so I was like, oh shit, ChatGPT is going real deep, real fucking deep. Right. And I started reading the names. I was like, okay, Mosaic Dreams by Lyric Kaleidoscope. Oh shit, Arcane Linguistics by Lexicon Prime. There's another one, Mind Over Matter by Verbal Alchemy. It just made up artists.
I think it took yours. I think it took your request as being like, let me produce to you a reasonable top 10, but not like based in reality. But the fuck it. I'm taking shade. ChatGPT is low key like throwing shade. They're like verbal alchemy, like trying to be like lyrical miracle. I was like, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's trolling you.
Otherwise, another artist name.
Yeah, fuck you, ChatGPT.
Equinox Flow, Cypher Syndrome, Ephemeral Mind State. All of them are just
Ephemeral Mind State. Oh my god.
What would an underground rapper call himself? Like,
oh god, that's
Ephemeral Mind State. We already conjured up a rapper. We made up a rapper and it became real. Leslie Snipes. We were saying, wouldn't it be funny if a rapper was called Leslie Snipes? And there is now a rapper on Bandcamp called Leslie Snipes making tracks, shouting us out. Ephemeral what? Ephemeral Mind State.
Ephemeral Mind State.
Can we get a Leslie Snipes and an Ephemeral Mind State feature or collab? Because this would be incredible. We've done it once. Can we do it again? Okay, there we go. That's amazing. Best album artworks. We've talked about them. My favorite one is a hip hop influenced album, I would say. It veers into very other different things. Ray, I think me and you watched them once at a festival. It is Young Father's Heavy. That is a great album, but the artwork I can't really put into words on a audio format. So go check that out, really. But it's scary. It reminds me of early Ari Aster films. Like it feels like an Ari Aster. Like there's a guy in the back being really creepy, and you kind of only just notice how creepy it is the more you look at it. But it's also just kind of really haunting and beautiful. Heavy, Young Fathers. The more I look at it, the more I kind of think, should I put that up on my wall? Probably not. But yeah. Don't. Rohan, you've got yours behind you, I feel. Is it?
Yeah. It is Sleep Sinatra and Televangel, Incorruptible Saints. This album is actually really good as like a musical product too. It just dropped literally this Monday, so I've had it a little bit before that, but still need to kind of sink my teeth in it more. But it's really good. Gonna have these guys on the show very soon. Wicked. And it's the artwork that was created by Big Flowers. He's the same guy who did the animation work for my show, right? And it just looks gorgeous. I just love he's got like these trademark kind of style of like paper cutouts. Like that's how he kind of does a lot of his art. And I just love I like that kind of salmon brown color scheme. It's pastels. Just really beautiful.
Quite a few pastels in there. Love that.
Yeah, I love the pastel shit. Yeah.
Ray, best artwork of the year, my friend, so far?
I'm feeling Go to the Fiend for a Fiend friend.
Stop saying
to see a sun.
Yeah, that is
to see a sunset. Yeah. Again, I just it's album covers that I can picture, like I said, picture wearing it on a t-shirt. So, it's just the stuff that I can see on a white t-shirt and the sunset in the background. And it's also got symmetry, but off symmetry because it's got the car in the front. I just like the wheel of the car is in the, are you looking at it?
No, I'm not looking at it.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. Okay, fine. But the wheel of the car is kind of in the center of it's got stuff centered in symmetry, but off symmetry because the car's kind of going. I don't know. I just like the layout of it. Maybe I'm thinking too hard about it, and maybe I'm a bit overtired because realizing that I haven't slept and I got to go to work in 10 minutes.
And this is 4 hours long. What are we doing? What are we doing? 4 hours fucking long. If anybody's still listening to us now, Jesus Christ, I'll get you a t-shirt.
Oh, there are loads of people in the chat just left. They're like, well,
no, I've just read everyone's gone to bed. Everyone's gone to bed. Rohan's over there starving. I've still got 10 more categories to go through. Come on. No, we can do this. We can do this. Rohan's never coming back on again, ever. He's never coming back on again to a live show. It's not always like this, Rohan. You've just been so good. Everyone's been too good. That's what it is.
It is.
I have other shouts, by the way, for album artworks that I just do think need a shout generally for the projects too. Rise and Shine, J Nice and Doe Networks. Wicked album artwork.
I like that. Nice.
Parthian shots we talked about earlier. AJ Suede, Televangel. The Great Earthquake we talked about as well. The Great Escape, sorry.
Great Escape.
Larry June, The Alchemist. I'm getting tired. Nicholas Craven, Shadow Moses with Mike Shab is another one. Features of the year. ASAP for me, just absolutely stole it for reasons I've already said. Bruiser Wolf from on Holy Moly was also really good. Anybody got any?
I got Esquire on PBS Kids. So I think Ray, you mentioned PBS Kids on Parthian shots. Yes. The flow he displays here is just unreal. Like he's always been like a flow master, but this one's like particularly special. And I love the way he starts the verse. He finds such a good pocket in that Televangel beat. I'm in love with the song. Like, oh my God. Yeah. But PBS Kids. Esquire has 2 like absolute fucking stunning features on AJ Suede and Televangel shit. Respect the Architect from last year. Just slayed that shit too. So yeah, that was really good to see them.
That was my verse of the year last year.
Yeah, it's fucking incredible. Yeah.
He's talking about fucking Spotify coming around to your house. Just fucking, it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. Absolutely.
He's incredible. Really good dude too.
Yeah, wicked, man. Ray?
I said already. Yes, Juggernaut on Crimeapple.
Of course, Juggernaut. Yes. Big up Jugs, big up Nottingham. Okay, so last one then. This is just kind of, I think we just couldn't think of a shorter way to put it, but what project made you change your mind about an artist or surprised you, if there is any? And I've talked about it a little bit. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but let's start here by Little Yachty. I talked about it before. I never thought I'd be in a mid-year review talking about someone who's let their imagination just fucking go wild, who's heard a lot of Travis Scott, he's heard a lot of Frank Ocean, he's heard a lot of Kanye, but then he's gone and done this, one of the most exhilarating listens of the year for me. Musically, just fucking incredible. That album is for me. Anyone else got an album that might have surprised them or changed their mind about an artist?
Well, yeah, Billy Woods.
Maps. Maps is the one. Okay. No, that's big. That's big, Ray.
I mean, it's on the way to changing my mind because I was like, this is an angry poet. I don't want to listen to him. And now it's like, okay, maybe he's saying something.
Okay.
So yeah, it's getting there. A couple of years' time, I'll be like, oh God, have you heard that? Oh, Billy, his back catalogue.
You could be one of them. You could be one of them. Rohan, for you, any albums out there?
Honestly, no. I feel like this has been a year of artists that I like taking another step. Mm-hmm. And there not been really too many surprises, like where I'm like, oh, I didn't really care for you. I feel like in the last few years, there's been many artists like that, but not this year for whatever reason. Yeah.
And so if we ended it then, as a year as a whole, I think there's been a lot of fucking people just trying different things, be it Yachty, Woods always does as well, but like some of the stuff we've talked about with Mike turning a corner, Oddisee coming back and delivering us something that's a bit more like, personable. For you, for the end of the year, is there like something you're really looking forward to, or are you just kind of content at the moment, or is there something on the horizon for you in 2023 where you're like, yeah, actually, I hope someone does this, or we get this project, or whatever?
I mean, I'm looking forward to all those slew of Backwoods releases are going to be amazing. So that's obvious for me at this point. I'd say overall the year's been great. I think I was looking at, because I actually collect all my music digitally, but like on my library, like I buy it or whatever, it's downloaded, however it happens. So I have that's how I keep track of all my shit. And I'm noticing that in my 2023 playlist versus my 2022 all the way to 2020, I don't think there's been as much absolutely stellar music this year. At least I'm gauging it based on like it been half the year. because I rate my music too. Like just to, again, it's for good. It's for cataloging purposes. I still use iTunes, so like it's helpful for these things, and it's not pacing to be matching the last 3 years. But I do think this has been a year of like a lot of really fucking good albums. I think there's been a huge amount of them. I only think there's been a handful that like were stellar, which is why like making this list wasn't that hard. Whereas before it was hard. Like I have some honorable mentions, and I will say that last thing, this has been a great year for non-hip hop. Because Kalela, I also think that album would be in my top 5 had it been like a full type of music. I'd say the King Cruel album that just dropped is phenomenal, and but it's really new, so I need some more time with it, but I love it. And then Nourished by Time, erotic probiotic too. Never heard of this dude, just saw a random review on Pitchfork.
That's one that ChatGPT made that up. That's not right.
Yeah. This guy's from like Maryland. He's kind of has a hip hop feel in the production, but it's still like R&B. Just incredible. Like truly just check it out. It's fucking unbelievably good. I've listened to it constantly. Yeah, I'd say I don't think I'm looking forward to anything else. I don't think I'm not looking forward. I'm just expecting what I'm expecting. I'm just happy with anything. I don't have anything really that's super anticipated that I hope happens, because all those things I already know are happening, like based on what's been announced. And
I got 3. I got 3 that I'm wondering if these might be something up your street. If West Side and Mac drop, if Gun and Mac drop something, that could be something for me.
Oh, that would be good. I mean, I am looking forward to the Mach. Like I'd say that one is because that's the separate one. I guess that's the one. His album that's supposedly done. I just never believe it until it's there. So
for
like,
sure. Yeah,
still, I'm still anticipating, though I'm really certain it's coming. People have heard the album now, but I'd say that highly anticipate. I think that'll be one of those prestige records that SonRaw was talking about. It's sounding like it'll be in the lineage of Pray for Haiti, which I'm super hyped for.
Imagine. I would go Black Milk. I always rate anything Black
I'm
Milk
fucking pumped.
Drop. Yeah.
I love Black Milk.
If he can drop that. And then just on our end, Ray, I was thinking, I'm not sure how Rohan is with LL Cool J, but Fun LL over Q-Tip. I am here for that. I'm sorry, but that's just my thing. And it's like I think I might have even mentioned this last year. I'm looking forward to it. It's still not dropped, but you keep saying it's there. So yeah, those are the kind of the things I'm looking forward to. And if anything, any more Hillbilly stuff comes out, it might just be one track, but any other Hillbillies, Kendrick and Keem, always here for that. Ray, anything you're looking forward to this year, or any takes on this year so far? Before we go?
I'm always just looking forward an Eminem and Primo collab. There's no way it's ever going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
But just giving a shout out to what Jack Pease just said, some Bruiser Wolf. Like I want to hear some more Bruiser Wolf.
Yes,
because it's been quiet for a while, right? So
last year,
2021, I think was actually his last. Dope Game Stupid, I think was the 21.
Is that 2021? What is time? Yeah. Jesus Christ.
You know what? Actually, I'll put him as the album that changed my opinion. It's not like I never disliked him or anything, but I think it was only 2023 where his work actually hit me. Like Dope Game Stupid, maybe it was late last year, if it was early this year. Yeah, it was early. Planet Unfaithful, really good EP from Fatboy Sharif and Roper Williams. Yes. He has a crazy feature on that, and I think that was in Jan. Yeah. And I remember hearing that, and I'm like, okay, I need to recheck this guy out. Like, he's been killing every feature, and that album is really good. So now I'm a Bruiser Wolf guy, like 100%. So I'd say that, like, Dope Game Stupid, sort of, but like it was more like a feature that changed my mind. It kind of made it all click because he's killed everything he's done. He's amazing.
Interesting. Yeah. Love that. Jack P is saying here, tracks I love: Ned Flanders by Bobby Noble, Wanna Be by Passport Rav and Blue Azul. Well done. I love Blue Azul. Fair play.
Oh, Wake Up.
And Wake Up by Jay Worthy and Rock Marcy. Yeah, The Plug as well is a wicked song on that project. Pangaea is the best album artwork, but love the Young Father's shout. I really hope we get some new Bruiser Wolf, as he says. Boom. There we go. I think we've wrapped it up, right? Ray, anything?
Yeah, I think we did.
Oh my God, we've done
concise.
It. We've done it. That's what he said at the top. I'm going to keep this concise. 4 hours later, we're here. Right. Thank you, everyone. Go out there, rate the show, Spotify, share, tell your mum, tell your dad, all that housework that we usually ask. Do it for Rohan as well. Where can we find you, man? Where's your stuff? And
it's I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Rap Music Plug Pod. But if you search rap music, the Rap Music Plug podcast on YouTube, and then on the major platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you'll find my stuff there. And I have a website. It's rmpp.squarespace.com, which has all like the links to all my stuff, which you can see and listen to. And yeah, go check out my stuff.
Definitely do that, man. I'd love to see just the next generation just bringing it, man. Absolutely. And thank you for hanging out with us old heads for all this time, Rohan. It feels nice.
Thank you so much.
Being that old.
Oh, no. Well,
yeah,
I feel it. But yes, thank you, everyone. Peace to all the patrons out there, and peace to yourselves. And we shall catch you.
Before you sign out, I just got to give a shout out to Ninja's Rose. He said on the chat, got to check out Kale Problems. And there's a particular tune, with all due respect, with all disrespect. Anyway, whatever, I did check it while you were fawning over Billy Woods, and it's a fucking ridiculous tune. So
amazing. So you didn't even listen to us talking, you listen to your music. Fair play.
No, I only don't listen to you because you just go on. I've listened to you talk about Billy Woods fucking forever. It's just ad infinitum.
I'm still not finished. That's the thing. We're still talking at the end of the year. But thank you, everyone, and we shall catch you soon. Peace.
Peace. Take it easy.
Peace.